Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard,
I'm Caroline.
and we go to a frankly ridiculous number of cons every year.
We've definitely used ridiculous before.
Almost certainly. I am quite tired.
That's fair. Because the con we're covering this week, Matsuricon, is in Columbus. We're recording this in two batches, so this one's on Saturday night, and we'll record the rest tomorrow. So we might not get through everything we did today. We might. I don't really know. We'll see.
We will see.
So Matsuricon is a anime con in Columbus, Ohio.
Yep. It's one at the Columbus Convention Center. This is our third year doing it, I believe.
Yes.
And I don't know if we need to say too much about the Columbus Convention Center. We've talked about it a lot in the past. It is our favorite convention center. It's really well designed. It scales really well depending on the size of your event.
Only complaint is parking, but that's kind of to be expected with any big city stuff. But I will say parking there has gone up kind of exorbitantly in the next year.
Yeah, it's now up to $25 a day event parking, which this con theoretically runs 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. So yeah, you're potentially looking at spending a lot in parking. Now, with that said, there are cheaper options that are a moderate walk away.
And you can also reserve parking. Columbus is pretty good about that.
Yeah. So you do have other options, but the fact that the actual convention center parking is all exorbitant is kind of annoying. So is there much more we want to say about the venue itself before we start talking about specific things about this con?
And we can give overviews and stuff like that.
I'm trying to see.
I'm mostly just trying to look up the history of the con, which for some cons, I will say Missouri doesn't have the best website. It's kind of hard to find. It was inaugurated in 2006. Estimated attendees, like a lot of cons, don't post them. Around 2014, they had around 4,500 attendees, which is, I would say, probably is about what they have now, maybe a little more. It's kind of hard to tell.
A little more to me, but it's hard to tell. My guess is they're anywhere in the 4 to 6 range.
Their history begins with, this is just whoever made their Wikipedia page. In 2012, the convention hosted the Distant Worlds concert headed by Arnie Roth. And I'm like, it's not their history. That's just they hosted a concert. And then it was followed up by a meet and greet with somebody I don't know for VIP pass holders.
Okay. That does not seem relevant.
In 2018, they shared a space with the GOP dinner that featured Donald Trump, which is historic, but it's not much about the history of the convention.
Yeah. That's just weird.
The the Columbus Convention Center does often have multiple events, so that's not that unusual. It's not like they can't control who else rents out the convention center space, obviously.
Yeah, there's currently a beauty pageant there this weekend.
Yeah.
Child beauty pageant, I think, based on what we've seen when we walked past it. Or
and this convention
with child sections.
I don't know.
Who knows?
We're not. Well, we can judge beauty pageant people, but I don't want to get into it on this podcast. We're not a podcast that reviews children's beauty pageants. I don't want to be that podcast. That sounds gross.
That sounds extremely questionable.
So yeah, the last attendee count I can get is for several years ago with about 5,000 attendees.
Yeah, which, as I say, anywhere in the 4 to 6 range feels about right to me. But as we pointed out repeatedly on the podcast, we're real bad at estimating numbers.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is something for which it is sometimes hard to get into histories of cons and stuff like that, which is why we're hoping to have more guests on the podcast.
Yep. Yeah, we do have a potential person we're maybe lining up to do a talk about the history of some other stuff with, which could be interesting, but we'll save that for when we actually have details worked out.
So this is likely a non-profit convention. I can't find exact specifics on that in my incredibly cursory Google search, which generally does mean we try to treat it a little bit nicer than we do other cons because it is run by volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
That said, we're struggling a little with our con positivity this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This one is gonna be harsher than usual, just because this con does some stuff that ticks us off very specifically.
Mm-hmm. But we're not, as evidenced by what we've witnessed so far, the only people who are ticked off about it.
Yeah. As we were saying, when we went to Techo, a couple of months back, like, there are very clearly a lot of people for whom Techo is their absolute favorite convention. Like, they love it to bits. You can feel the excitement and the energy and the positivity, and I don't get that at this con.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Everyone, and it is hard to know how much we're projecting because, frankly, this is the first week of school. We're both more tired than I think we normally would be.
Yep. And
we have walked away from this con, I think, the past couple of years with the same experience, or at least it's happened the last 2 times, where it's just been like, every single time I'm like, I remember that con not being good. And then we go again and like, I see the schedule, I'm like, I don't really know what we thought this con wasn't good. It seems to have a lot of stuff we like, and it seems relatively decent, and it's in the Columbus Convention Center, which we like, so it seems like a perfectly fine con that we would enjoy. Why didn't we? Oh yeah, that stuff happened.
Yep. And again, this is now the kind of the 3rd year on the trot when it's had all of the exact same problems. Now, granted, again, it's not like we had the podcast to send them last time, and I don't know if I'm going to send them it this time, but, we'll see. I did actually send them an angry email earlier today, so,
Yeah, we were a bit frustrated by one specific thing. It was just kind of compounded on top.
But we'll get to that.
That said, I do want to highlight that this is against the con. It's not against any of the panelists.
Oh, no. Like,
these types of criticisms don't make whoever is running this con a bad person or anything like that. And this con is not a disaster in the way that, like, we like to talk about con disasters, because even though I, like most people, do watch event disaster YouTube videos and stuff like that for my entertainment, I don't want this podcast to become an event disaster podcast.
Oh, God, no.
I'm sure with enough time and effort, we will probably eventually attend an event that is something just catastrophic happens at it. Like,
it's going to happen eventually.
Yes, and we will report on that, but we will do it respectfully and with understanding to the people who are involved.
Yes. And try to place blame where it belongs.
Yes.
But, yes. So...
And this con, I want to be clear, is not that.
No. Like, this con is perfectly fine. It's just doing a couple of very specific things that make us enjoy it a hell of a lot less than we otherwise would. So should we talk about how we started?
Yes. So I, on a whim, I think mostly because I was feeling competitive with Pop Culture Choreography and Wetlands Ninja about how many panels they do at con, submitted a panel at this con.
Yep.
Partially because of that, and I think partially, not like in a competitive sense, like their panels don't deserve to get accepted, more just like they've inspired me type competitive.
The friendly rivalry competitiveness as opposed to
It's
the
not
I
even
must
really
destroy
a
you, the
It's not even
competitiveness.
really a rivalry. It's not even like our panels are on at the same time and you have to choose between them. It's more just like they do so much at cons. I also feel like I need to do more at cons to contribute to the con environment.
Boo, boo, I say.
So yeah, competitive was probably the wrong word.
Yeah.
Anyway, I submitted an ethics and Pokemon panel. The other reason I'm trying to do this is as somebody with a PhD in philosophy and ethics, I feel like I should be, I don't know, doing more to represent my field in the like con space, in part just because, I don't know, it's a part of my identity that I tend to keep separate, and I do think I want to kind of merge those elements of myself a little bit. And I do think
It's nice to be in a room with people who are actually interested in what you have to say.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to do it. So, and this was ethics and Pokemon, which was a very silly topic. They did schedule me for a Thursday. I don't even remember if I put Thursday down on the sheet. But they did try to accept, and they did say this, they were trying to accept more content this year generally, so they did pack the schedule more than they normally would, which I do like. I think the last couple of years there haven't been quite enough on for us for kind of this size, and they have upped the level of stuff that's going on this year, and I think that's a really good change that they did positively make.
Yes, I would concur with that. Like, it does feel like there is more stuff on this year.
Yeah. So last year, and this is kind of becoming a trend in anime conventions where Friday was once day zero. It's not day zero anymore. It's just day one. And now there's becoming a new day zero, which is Thursday.
So, yeah, so your panel was yours was the second panel of the weekend. Because yours was at 5:30 on Thursday. There was a panel of 5:15. So you were damn near the opening act for the entire convention, honey.
Yeah. I mean, I think I put for Thursday down as a time slot. I've since learned, now that I've been scheduled for a couple of cons, if I want certain time slots, I should just say that I'm not available other time slots.
Yep.
We did go down on Thursday last year, but we just picked the badges and left. And they have expanded Thursday programming this year. And there were not half as many people as there were Friday or Saturday, but there were like a decent chunk of people just kind of milling around.
Yeah, like I would say that panel probably had 30 to 40 people in the audience,
Yeah,
which for Thursday at 5 o'clock
is a pretty good
pretty darn
turnout.
good turnout. Yeah.
So we went down there on Thursday. I just want to shift to chronological now.
Yeah,
or is
I
there
think
anything
so.
else? We can just bring up kind of our issues as we're going along.
I think so.
So on Thursday we went down. We got our badges. They had us panel. The panel reimbursement policies vary a lot, con for con. Some like give you a free badge for how many panels you're hosting. I think my head panelist badge for this is supposed to be comped after the con's over. I don't know if it's actually going to be or not, but both of us did get discount badges for co-hosting a panel, which is decent enough. I honestly don't do this for the reward mechanics much.
No. Like, again, if you can do enough to get a free badge, great. But
So
yeah.
we have free parking thanks to anonymous, generous employee A.
Yep. Who we would not shop out.
I mean, at this point, his job's,
Let's not go there.
Anyway.
But yeah, so we have a friend's parking pass who has parking quite near the convention center, which means we're not paying $100 for parking this weekend.
Which is good. I like that. Although we did on Thursday night this is not the fault of the con. There was just typical Thursday night at 5 o'clock traffic, and keep in mind we did have to be there at 5, which means we had to leave our house like at 3:30.
Yep. Yeah, like I took an hour off work or a couple of hours off work.
Mm-hmm.
Skedaddled early.
To get down there, and then there was traffic, and we weren't going to realistically be there long, and they didn't have event parking up yet at the Creative Columbus Convention Center, so I think parking was like $8.
Yeah.
So we just decided to park there that night.
Yeah.
Which, not the fault of the con, just the fault of traffic in Columbus. So we did that. We got badges.
And again, the badge process was pretty straightforward. Turn up, scan the QR code, see the IDs.
We didn't have to go to a special place to get panelist badges, which in some ways I prefer, just because it means you don't have to look for a different place. I still have no idea where ConOps even is.
Not a clue. The one thing I was having specialist panel badge pickup is useful if you're trying to pick up your badge at a busy time. We were not, so it was completely fine.
Yeah.
Whereas if it had, if there'd been a giant line out and our panel started in 20 minutes, it would have been useful to have a specialist badge pickup for us.
Yeah, I will say I don't know if there's a prime time hours registration. Maybe when it's first open, but generally for this con, one, registration's not in a place that you would typically go.
Yeah, it's in a slightly weird place because it's over in the Hyatt.
Yeah, which is in a lower level. We know where it is and we're very familiar with the convention center, and we've been to the con before, but we did have to direct some people today on where to go.
Yep.
But that's just kind of general confusion with the convention center.
Yeah, they basically just so this convention is being held in the Hyatt and in the A section of the convention center. These people are clearly parked over the other side and come in through the D section. It's not that bad of a walk. We actually do it quite frequently at conventions, just when we need a 5-10 minute break.
We're going around and looking at the cosplays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But anytime we've been down there, I've never seen the line problematically long at any given shape, time, or point, and it's a pretty basic standard check-in process. Scan QR code. They do make you check IDs.
Yeah,
I think give you
annoying,
adult badges. I'm still not sure why cons feel the need to check IDs so much. I think some of them are worried about you stealing someone's QR code or picking up their badge for them. I don't foresee that as a problem that has happened, but maybe it has and I just don't know about it.
Again, the FurCons doing it I don't mind, because generally speaking they really do differentiate between a minor badge and an adult badge.
Yeah.
Because they are very on top of that. Or something like Motor City FurCon, which is exclusively an 18+ con.
Yeah, they would need to check IDs.
They have to check IDs, and that's fine. Yeah, whereas this one, I don't really know what the point was. Because when we did an 18+ panel today, they had to check our IDs again. So, yeah.
And I will say that the registration has never been bogged down enough that, if they want to check IDs, it's a problem or anything.
Yeah, it was moving pretty smoothly, pretty efficiently. No significant complaints worth mentioning. That was my honest assessment there. So we got that. We headed upstairs to where our panel was going to be.
Yep.
specifically in Franklin AB.
They do have your choice of badge lanyards there, so they do include a con book program. They don't include a schedule, but they do use Aventi, which is decent enough app.
Again, it's still not our favorite, but it's tolerable, and it's at least like.
But you can choose your badge lanyard color, which I think is cool.
That is cute. Yeah, you took I took a red. You took a blue.
Yeah, and they of course have like a lot of cons specialist badge lanyards if you're VIP, gold, platinum, and I think like a lot of cons they have several different ticket tiers you can buy. For the stuff we like to do, because we don't see celebrities, there's rarely a point to us buying those, and we would pretty much only do it to support a con we loved.
Yeah, and we did contemplate doing it for one that's coming up in November.
We contemplated it.
But we actually ended up getting the cheap badges for that one because...
we decided to GM.
Yeah.
Although the instructions do make it clear for that one that anyone can GM.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got our badges, picked stuff up, took like 5 seconds.
Yep.
Easy, nice and straightforward. Pick up station, then we walked up to the room we were supposed to be paneling in, which was locked.
Which again, first panel... fair enough, like that we've seen that happen a bunch of
I was kind of expecting that.
Yeah, I wasn't that surprised.
And they did get it open relatively quickly and made enough time to set up.
Yeah, they had it open about 15 minutes before the panel was due to start. And again, like, in terms of what we had to set up, it was basically turn on projector, plug laptop into HDMI cable, get PowerPoint ready to go, because it was all just on my laptop and ready to go.
This con is very strict about not letting people into the panelists give the go-ahead, though.
Yeah.
Which we'll return to in a bit.
Yeah.
For us, I will say, and I will say this as somebody who has paneled before and did panel at this con, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, nothing I'm doing involves the audience. It's just us setting up and testing mics. If anything, it's actually easier if the audience are in there so I can tell if the mics are working.
Yeah, so we can just go, test. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Cool.
They can tell us like what volume they want stuff at. That'd be cool. So it's kind of hard to review your own panel. I don't know. You were kind of more like observing than watching it, so why don't you review it?
Okay. It seemed to go fairly well. In terms of you had as lecture style panels go, it was relatively standard.
Mm-hmm.
But you got some good audience questions at the end, which I thought was good. Your joke at the end landed.
Mm-hmm.
And people seemed interested.
Some people complimented me after it. Again, I know it's going to be anyone's like favorite thing they did this weekend, but as long as people had fun.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot else on at that time, so I think a lot of people just appreciated there was some interesting content that they could go see.
Yeah. Which again, sometimes that's all you really want or need.
Yeah, I do admit I prefer running stuff like game show panels and stuff like that, but there's a lot of people on that market right now, so it's kind of hard to know which cons already have somebody who's doing that type of stuff and which cons don't. I'll say this con did have a lot of people doing similar things, which isn't necessarily a criticism, but it did seem like they accepted a lot of extremely similar panels.
Yes, there was multiple like Pokemon trivia panels. There was multiple actuallys.
Yeah, that are just being run by different groups. I don't see a problem with that, because again, people might want to do it at different times and not be something across the schedule, and there's nothing wrong with having multiple groups do it.
Oh yeah.
A lot of cons don't tend to do that though, so it's just I think a difference more so than anything else.
Yeah, I definitely think they've gone...
swear to God, if you keep yawning throughout this one, you did that all last week, you're not doing it again.
I mean, if you let me get some sleep...
No, it's not happening.
Yeah. Sleep is for the weak.
Yes.
Okay.
Plus my dog won't let us sleep anymore, so...
She's our dog, honey. I know she was your dog first, but she is our dog now.
She is, but she doesn't keep you awake in the middle of the night.
I know, it's great. So, anywho, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah.
Panel.
So, yeah, again, in terms of the setup, absolutely fine.
What?
Solid access to equipment. We ended up turning off the lights at the front just so that the projector was easier to see.
The projector is only on one side of the room. It's not like a dual screen setup. That's not on the con, really. That's probably just what the room can offer. And projectors are expensive, and it worked fine for what it was.
Yeah, like, as people were coming in, we basically said, just to let you know, there is going to be stuff on the screen. You might want to sit where you can see it.
Yeah. I downloaded a cute template with Pokemon on it. It's really cute.
Yeah.
People seem to like it. They were asking interesting questions.
You were talking about slavery.
Well, Pokemon are slaves. It was the point of the panel. I had to put a disclaimer about it not being about the American slave trade, because that's just horrifically awful, but you know.
But yeah. But again, it was a
good panel. Like,
was a good panel.
Pretty much no one left except for a couple people who were like clearly waiting for the panel that was in the room next to us to start.
Yeah, which is fair. But
for the most part, like everyone who entered the room stayed, which I think is a good sign that it was a good panel.
Yeah.
Wasn't boring anyone to tears, at least.
Nope. And that's saying you got some questions at the end. And,
yeah. And I'm doing it again next week at Colossal Con because I have a death wish, so we'll see how it goes there.
Yeah, Colossal Con East. Woo.
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 Woo. That seemed like a much better idea in June.
Yep. That's another one where we're stuck doing stuff on Thursday.
I don't even think... Okay, I think I might have put Thursday as a time for this one because I knew we could drive it. I am confident I did not put Thursday as a day I could sign up to do it at Colossal Con.
Yep.
Like, I know I did not put that date down. So that's a criticism for them next week.
Yeah, but that's a problem for next week's
episode. In fairness, I could have asked for it to be changed, but I'm a wimp, so...
So, yeah.
So after that, we didn't really plan to stay long. School started this week. I had to teach the next day. We're still at the point of class where I need to do a lot of prep just to get through the day and keep the students interested.
Yep.
So we checked out the night market briefly, which is...
I'm unclear, like, why it's a night market. Because, like, so here's the thing. At the FurCon we were at 2 weeks ago, the night market meant the not safe for work stuff.
Yeah.
It's the stuff you're not allowed to see in the daylight.
I think it's a night market because Japan has night markets. Like, that's why it's called a night market.
Oh. That seems questionable.
Yeah. So we've been having this debate, and I want to emphasize it's not really specific to this con. It's more just kind of a thing I think we've been dealing with lately with anime cons generally. Like, a lot of anime conventions are nonprofits, and their nonprofits are generally Japanese Cultural Society nonprofits, sometimes Asian Cultural Society nonprofits that are owned by white people.
Yep.
Or at least the board of directors is pretty much exclusively white, and the culture they're focusing on is pretty much exclusively anime, and it's something that makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable generally, because it does... I like a lot of weeb culture generally, and I think weebs in and of themselves aren't bad people, but there are elements of Anime Con specifically that get a little bit closer to fetish territory as opposed to respectful territory. And I'm not saying that this con is any worse than that than any other con, but it is something over this summer that I think has been bothering me a little bit more than it has in the past couple years, just kind of...
Because we're doing so many more this year?
I think it might be because we're doing so many more, because when I'm also looking at panel applications, and I want to emphasize that this con did not say this, but a lot of cons do say that they want only paneling programming that is reflective of Japanese or Asian culture. And I get a little disturbed by that, because most people who are submitting panels aren't going to be of Japanese or Asian cultural descent. And also, anime isn't something that is just a part of, like, Japanese or Korean culture at this point. It's everywhere and has been for a long time. And it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable that groups of white people are claiming to be a Japanese or Asian cultural organization when most of what they're doing is running an anime convention.
Yeah.
It's something that squeaks me out a little bit, but I don't even know if I should be talking about this on the podcast.
Again, like, it's one of those things that occasionally kind of bothers us a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same way that there are elements of other types of conventions we go to that bother us a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, again, steampunk stuff can whitewash certain elements of history.
Yeah.
They try not to, but they can.
Yeah.
Furry cons have some bad actors in them. It's not on the furry community, but those people do exist in it.
Yeah.
Board game cons have white men. A lot of them.
Yep.
That's most of it. What?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
The war game people have, like, there's a whole ethical thing around war games that I have issues with that I've talked to him extensively about off mic that I do not need to get you into.
Yeah.
And I want to say, as a professional ethicist, like me being squeaked out about something doesn't necessarily mean it's morally wrong or even needs to really change. It's just something I personally find challenging. It's not a commentary on anyone who attends anime conventions, because obviously we attend anime conventions.
Yeah, like a lot. But yeah.
You don't even have any thoughts on this.
No, I don't.
Why?
Because I'm not a professional ethicist.
Okay.
Oh dear. So yeah.
What? So you can't have like thoughts that are more nuanced than good or bad?
I don't think I'm legally allowed to. Also, I'm British in America, which means like my ability to talk about appropriating other people's culture. I'm not touching that.
Mm-hmm.
We did a lot of that. It was bad.
Yeah. And AnimeCons have gotten better about it. I get a little frustrated, I think, both personally and slightly ethically, that anime conventions tend to be very focused on Japanese and Korean culture when anime itself is not a culture. It spans across culture, and looking at it as a culture is like looking at Hollywood as an American culture. It's not. It's a part of America, but it's not the only part of America, and it's not the only place in the world that makes movies either. And if you want to like have a film festival, you don't say then it's a festival about American culture.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how we feel about it. So yeah, what else did we do on Thursday other than the night market? Which again, like the night market, it was okay.
Yeah, it was a couple stalls and then a weird like bunch of carnival games that I was unclear how you played. I think you could maybe win like cute mini prizes for. And when I say carnival games, I mean like very like low budget stuff that people made, which is absolutely fine. Like those are the best kind of carnival games because they're actually winnable.
Yeah, they're actually kind of fun.
Yeah. But a couple little shops. They were cute.
Yeah. Again, nothing on them that particularly grabbed us, but.
And then we thought about staying for bingo, but that was canceled. Don't know what the story was behind that. And there were a couple late night panels. I think one was called like Divorce Court or something like that, which was tearing apart ships that seemed interesting. But I had work tomorrow and I just did not have the energy.
Yeah.
Like, so I think we mostly walked around the convention center a bit. So they were hosting that beauty pageant.
Yep.
Laughed at it.
Remember that I'm pretty sure they were hosting it at the same time as this con last year as well. So yeah, so we, at that point we were like, okay, we'll head home. We've got work in the morning. We both had to be up at 7.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, got in the car, drove home. Oh, you didn't mention what you were wearing during the panel.
Oh yeah, I was wearing my skunky dress that I typically wear at FurryCons just because it was Pokemon themed. Probably wear it again next week.
Yep.
With special guest panelist Emma, since we have to take her next week.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay holding her for the 5-hour drive?
We'll figure it out. So after that, we just kind of went home.
Yeah. Nothing fancy.
Yeah. So Friday we had to work, and we decided, I think, pretty early on that this con just kind of wasn't worth it to take a work day off for. There wasn't a lot on during the daytime, so we just kind of went down and got there about 6-ish.
Yeah.
Met Pop Culture Choreography and Wetlands Ninja.
By pure random coincidence, just
sitting next to where the entrance thing was.
Yeah, we just walked through the door. We're like, oh, hey guys.
Yep.
Then the four of us kind of went up together to Anime Court.
Mm-hmm.
So Anime Court is a fun panel that we've
It's an improv panel that's pretty much all in audience participation.
Yep.
This one person whose name I do not remember does it here.
Judge Senpai.
Judge Senpai. He also did it at SakaiCon, and I think he does it at a couple other cons that are kind of local. He's not the only person who does it. Quite a few different groups do. So, and I also probably might shift that to they them because I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, that's fair. So the basic principle of this panel is the audience suggests a defendant, a prosecutor, and it's a defendant, a plaintiff. Mm-hmm. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. And what the legal disagreement between them is, and then you get a volunteer from the audience to play the defendant, one to play the plaintiff, one to play the prosecutor, and one to play the defense. and then you just give them microphones and let them do their thing.
Yep. Different versions of this, because this is another one of those panels we go to a lot, and I think have a lot of specific opinions on, because we've been to so many of them, which again these are very incredibly minor complaints that I think are just personal to us.
Yep.
So like they vary in terms of like how many microphones there are. This one unfortunately only had one or two.
Yeah, this panel only had 2 microphones.
Yeah.
And that's, for the record, not on the person running the panel. That's not on Judge Senpai. That is just
like our panel had 4, and we definitely didn't need 4.
Yeah. Just based on the room we were in.
Yeah.
So yeah, like extra couple of microphones would have been nice, but that's not their fault.
Yes. Some vary in terms of opening and closing statements. Judge Senpai doesn't do closing. I do kind of wish.
I would have liked a closing statement.
Yeah, I do think a little bit more closing statements would have added a little bit more structure. And I will say, Judge Senpai, I do think could add a little bit more structure into the improv generally, because it gets kind of off the rails pretty quickly with them.
It usually does.
Which is not that bad.
No, it's still funny.
Improv, and it's still very funny. But it does mean sometimes you have multiple people who are kind of fighting for attention at once, and making sure they all have their moments might be some incredibly minor helpful feedback.
Yeah. So again, like I volunteered to be the prosecutor in the case of Kermit the Frog versus Yoshi.
Yes.
Where Yoshi was accused of reckless Yoshiing that led to the death of Fozzie Bear.
Baby Mario got involved. More people are pulled up as you go along, and you kind of create the story or tell the story. I will say one thing that I do like that Judge Senpai does is, because all this is audience suggestion, is Judge Senpai lets the audience vote on suggestion, which nearly always means that really popular and really well-known characters get picked.
Yeah, like again, Kermit and Yoshi are well known enough that basically the entire audience knows who they are. Now that does mean that if you've got like a super specific suggestion, it doesn't matter how funny it is. If the rest of the room doesn't know who the character is, it's not getting picked. And is that going to be disappointing for you? Quite possibly, but it does mean that generally speaking, the audience is going to have more fun.
Because they can get the jokes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I will say, we might talk about this a little bit throughout this podcast, because we have noticed it. With AnimeCon specifically, I do notice that, like, one, anime is a pulp genre, which means pretty much, once you get past, like, Pokemon and maybe Dragon Ball Z, everyone's seen different things in anime.
Yeah.
And Yu-Gi-Oh! Is also a fairly well-known one. Because of that, a lot of anime fans don't seem to be aware that other anime fans don't watch the same anime they do, and therefore don't have the same, like, shared knowledge base they do. And it's a tricky line to walk, and it's something that I don't think everyone's, like, aware of is a problem when you're hosting panels, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like anytime you go to an anime trivia panel, it will be largely focused on stuff the host knows. And they always seem surprised when what they think is an easy question about an anime they really love has the audience staring at them completely blankly because nobody else in the room has seen it. And they always are surprised by it.
Yeah. And anime is just like that. Like, Yuri on Ice is fairly popular, but probably if you go into an average anime room, and this is people who like anime, presumably, I would say maybe only 30 to 40% of people have seen Yuri on Ice.
Yeah. Because again, like, people have specific genres that they like, you know, even within anime. You know,
go ahead.
I was going to say, it does make me wonder if we need to subdivide anime, like, conventions, but I don't think we want to do that.
No, I don't think it needs to be done that way. I just think it's something for which, when you're thinking about, like, broad-based audience participation panels, you probably should consider sticking to stuff that has more popular appeal.
Yeah. And
some hosts seem to be aware of that, or panelists seem to be aware of that, some don't. But that's, I don't think we've so far been to a bad panel this weekend.
We haven't.
And this is more of a compliment to Judge Senpai's style of, like, letting people vote means that the popular characters get picked.
Yes.
Which means that the improv works because everyone gets the jokes. Like,
yes.
Kermit the Frog and Yoshi are characters that everyone knows.
Yeah. You know, like, you know, when I, added reckless endangerment of a child by bringing in, Baby Mario.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, again, that was funny, and everybody knows who Mario is, and I don't know if the entire audience is aware of the fact that Baby Mario is a, like, character in the Yoshi's Island games, but I figured it was enough people were going to understand what was going on.
Baby Mario's also in Mario Kart and a bunch of other games at this point, and also, like, it's something that's intuitive enough. Like, if you know Mario, I don't think Baby Mario is a character that, like, takes a lot of imaginative thought to figure out.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
So that was a cute one. At one point, I think just a car was on trial.
Yes, specifically a 2001
Silver.
silver Chevy something or other.
I thought it was Subaru or sedan or.
Yeah, well, it didn't help the Judge Senpai kept very deliberately
I think it was a
changing the making
Suburban.
model. Suburban, thank you. He very deliberately, or they very deliberately kept changing the making model of the car every time they announced it, just to
Yeah.
mess with everybody.
But somebody just threw out a car, and of course, because everyone knows what a car is,
It was funny.
it was funny.
I meant the person playing the car was limited to 2 words: beep,
Beep, beep.
and beep.
So it's very funny. It's very chaotic. Judge Senpai did ask that new people who hadn't done Anime Court with them before come up, which I was fine with.
Yep.
I wasn't planning on volunteering that night anyway because I was exhausted from teaching. You,
Yep.
I think, got up before that rule was implemented.
Yes, yeah, I did the first round, and then after that is when they brought in that rule. Which again, I think was a good call because it gave people who hadn't had the chance to do it before the opportunity to, and I can respect that.
Yeah. The
But
person
again,
you were up with though was somebody who you had done it, or actually I had done it with at a previous con.
Yeah. Out of context, that sentence sounds very strange.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But in context,
Oh,
it sounds
no,
perfectly
no,
normal.
no. Boo. Boo, I say. Boo.
That worked as a transition.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. So, again, this is somebody we've met at previous cons.
Whose
And
name we won't share because we don't know if it's comfortable being shared on the podcast. And also, you keep forgetting to ask what it is.
yes, I do. In fact, keep forgetting to do that. It's getting awkward at this point. But anywho, I'm not convinced they know what our names are, so it's fine.
They will listen to this.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, they've been saying they're going to listen to it since, 10 cons ago, so,
We are fully committed to the fact that this podcast is secondary media. You listen to it while you're doing something else.
Yeah.
Like I
That's
said,
fine.
he is a truck driver, so I
Yeah.
feel like you should be listening to this. You don't have anything else to do in that truck. At least not that you can legally do while you're driving.
That's very fair. So, anyway, but yeah. And we also bumped into some Yu-Gi-Oh! Cosplayers who we've met again at previous cons, and we like quite a bit. They are very determined to make their costumes as good as they possibly can in fascinating ways.
Yeah. We found out that one of them made their little dual star chip holder thingy from the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Very well done. It was amazing.
Oh yeah. And then there was the wig that what's the character called? Merrick?
Yes.
Yeah. That the Merrick cosplayer was doing.
Yeah.
That wig was cool.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Anything else you want to say about the panel itself?
I don't think so. Again,
It was a blast.
It was a blast.
Anime Court
It
is always fun. It's people come in knowing what to do. It's an easy panel to run. Well, I don't want to say it's an easy panel to run. I want to say it's always run well.
Yes.
Both Judge Senpai and everyone else who've had hosted.
Yeah.
And they do a good job of making people comfortable improvising on stage and something like that.
Yeah. Again, it gives it enough structure that you can work with it.
Yeah.
So at that point, we were contemplating going to another panel, but there wasn't anything really grabbing us, so we decided to grab dinner. It ended up being 8 of us.
Yeah. Pop culture choreography, Wetlands Ninja, and the Yu-Gi-Oh cosplayers.
Yep.
Which I think there was. If I can get it, there was Rex. There was Weedle. Weevil, I think is his actual name. Sorry, I have not seen Yu-Gi-Oh! In forever. And there was the aforementioned Merrick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I butchered that.
Yeah.
I've at least seen it.
Yep. And also the person I was up on stage with.
Yes.
So we
and
went. We
he
got dinner.
recommended, and I'm pretty sure this person does use he/him pronouns. Nice burger place. We all got burgers and just kind of hung out there for a couple hours.
Yep.
And had fun.
Yeah. It was just nice to sit and talk with people
Who go to the same conventions we do.
Yeah. And then we went home.
Yeah, because it was already 10 p.m. by that point.
Yeah.
We got there at 6. The panel took an hour. I would say that I would like that panel in a longer time slot because I do feel like it at least could go for another half an hour.
Yeah, I feel like an hour and a half time slot would have served it well. Because it, certainly the last case in particular definitely felt a little stressed at the time.
Yep.
But again, scheduling limits, all of that stuff, especially if they're trying to get more programming in this year.
It was fun. It was silly.
I mean, again, I'll be honest, I do feel like given the numbers they have,
Mm-hmm.
at this point I would be also renting out the upstairs A rooms just to have more panel space.
Yep.
That might just be a me thing again. I don't actually know how much money this con brings in or any of that stuff.
I don't know either. The Columbus Convention Center is expensive, so.
Yeah, it is.
And they do have a lot more panels than they did last year.
Yes.
So yeah, we got dinner. We headed home. Those were pretty light days. That's it. We managed to talk about them for like 40 minutes. So.
Yep, because that's how we roll on this podcast.
Woo! And then I decided I wanted to get here at 9 a.m. for whatever reason today.
Yeah. So we got home. We went to bed. You got Emma'd for a bit.
Yeah. And I was having the thought at this time period that I typically have, I think at this point with this convention, it was like, I remember not liking this con, but it seems perfectly fine so far. I wonder why I don't like it. That was answered.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be the snarky.
So we got up early.
We did Hades and Persephone because I'm still exhausted from work, and this is my low-key ball gown outfit.
Yep. Again, if you're listening, if this is your first episode of the podcast, Hades and Persephone is the one that's on the picture.
Yep.
It's the one with the flowers and
it's the first cosplay I've ever made.
Yep. I brought my Bident with me today, which I haven't. So the Bident component for the Hades costume, I don't bring that often. Partially because dealing with prop check is a pain in the neck, and partially because transporting it's a pain in the neck. But because this is just at the Columbus Convention Center, there's plenty of space in the back of the car. I'm not it's not clogged up with 6 ball gowns for you for an entire weekend.
I will say today with this costume, a lot of people got it. Multiple people pegged me as Persephone. One person got you as Hades without seeing me.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, I did not expect that. Again, I think it must have been the Bident that gave it away. Because a Bident is a relatively unusual weapon. Tridents turn up all over the place, but Bidents don't. As far as I know, Hades is one of the few who's actually uses one. I might have to Google this at some point, but anyway. And then I'll just get some nonsense from an AI.
Okay, we're not even
I know.
How are we this bad at this?
We've got through 2 days. It's fine.
We did 2 things during those 2 days.
I know. So, we got up, we got dressed, we got on the road, nice and simple and straightforward. And then we got there relatively easily. I dropped you off. I went. I parked. I came in.
It was freezing. This is not on the con either. It's weirdly cold for August.
Yeah.
It's just 10 or 20 degrees lower than what it's supposed to be. And so the convention center is just set to air when it's cold outside, and it just is really cold.
Yeah, you've been wearing my fleece all day.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've taken this off much except for photos.
Except when people wanted photos, yeah.
I think I'm wearing Belle tomorrow, the new costume I have, just because it has long sleeves.
So that was that's one complaint, but again,
it's not on the con.
That's not. I'm not even going to blame the convention center for that.
It's also when you go to conventions, the reality is you're going to be too hot or too cold at various points during the day. I've never been to a convention where that's not true.
Yeah.
It's not the fault of the con. It's just something you gotta have to live with because you're in a public space.
Yeah. The thing is, the usual counters for that of either adding or removing layers are tricky to do when you're in costumes.
Yep. But the con doesn't control it. All convention centers are going to be like that. All public spaces in general are just kind of like that.
Yeah. So yeah, again, that's been mildly annoying all weekend, but not in the way that we actually hold against the con in any way. But yeah, so what was the first...
Dread.
Ah, yes.
So there was this... Convention Center does have kind of weirdly 2 main event spaces, one of which we've not been in yet, one of which is a main ballroom in the A section of the hotel, and the other is on the opposite end in the top floor of the Hyatt Regency.
Yeah.
We've been in both of those for other conventions.
Yeah.
Both are massive rooms. And this was a 9 a.m. panel, so I think the only reason...
9:30 technically.
I think it was originally 9 a.m. and they pushed it back to 9:30 because I think the voice actors on it were just we want to wake up a half an hour later. Valid.
Yep.
So this was a voice acting panel, or a panel with voice actors. I could look them up, but I'm lazy.
That's fair.
I'll see if I can do it if you want to explain it. Where they play Dread, which is
So Dread is actually a game we find very interesting. It's very good for con one-shots. It is a traditionally horror-based tabletop RPG, but you can do just about anything you want with it, where the only mechanic is a Jenga tower. Anytime you want to do something that's even slightly risky, you have to pull a block from the Jenga tower.
Edward Bosco, Kristen McGuire, and Dawn Bennett. And there was also somebody named Dallas Reed, but I don't think they were there.
They were not. So yeah. So and if the Jenga tower falls, bad stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's frequently used for horror games because like the tower falling is when your character gets horribly murdered to death. But it does, as a system, it's actually quite well named because your early pulls, you're pretty safe. Like you don't need to worry too much. The further on you go without that tower falling, the more likely it is that the next block will be the one to, have bad things happen. So it's very good for building tension. Like one of our favorite role-playing experiences ever was a Dread game. So yeah. So Dread is a fun little system.
It's fun, and it's also a decent one to watch people play, because D&D, it's a little bit hard for me to follow when I watch people play. Dread is so simple that it's pretty easy to follow.
Yeah.
And it's more just like, I felt like getting there early that day just to kind of get the most of the con experience, and thought I would enjoy this, because it was fun.
Yeah. And again, at least in part because we couldn't do much on Friday.
Yeah. So
we really enjoyed going out with friends, but
we need to at least talk about Saturday at some point before we get home.
Go. Do we want to talk about like the experience of getting into that room?
Yes, I was about to transition to that, but you didn't let me transition to that because you feel the need to
talk on this podcast where we talk.
Yes.
It's annoying, isn't it?
I know. But your accent makes people think you're smarter than me.
Yeah, which is definitely not true. Anyone who's had a 5-minute conversation with us knows that ain't true.
Anyway. Didn't mean you wanted Anime Court just based on your goddamn accent.
That's happened multiple times.
It has. Although winning an Anime Court is irrelevant.
Yeah, it's decided by the applause meter. It's fine.
And again, if you're trying to play a villain, then you want to lose anyway.
So yeah.
So at that point, we both got in. You handed me the jacket. We headed up to the ballroom. There were people milling around outside the ballroom because they weren't letting people in, which at this point in the day was only mildly annoying because the ballroom's huge. And there were maybe 30 people outside it at most, and the ballroom can seat easily 500 people.
Yeah. But the con did do something that ticked us right the hell off.
Which is not let people into an empty room.
Yep.
For no reason.
Yep. Which, again, they've been doing this all weekend.
At that time, it was only, at this point of the day, I've only found it mildly annoying. It got more and more annoying throughout the day.
Yeah, there was one specific incident there that I observed
that made me a lot more annoyed.
Yeah. So we didn't realize initially, but there were actually 2 lines to get into that room. Mm-hmm. One of which was the regular line, and one of which was the VIP line. One of the people in the VIP line was using a mobility assistance device, and they got to the front of the line, and the person checking badges realized they didn't have a VIP badge and told them that they had to go and stand in the other line.
When they had accessibility issues. And I will say, Matsuricon, if they have an accessibility policy or assistance for people with disabilities, it's very unclear.
Yeah.
I've not seen anything on their website. It doesn't seem like it's very helpful. They don't have anything at all. Yeah. Accessibility seating is important for a lot of disabilities. And I was talking to you about this earlier. I struggle to talk about my disability on this podcast, even though I know I do it a lot, because I know the natural question is well, what's your disability and what do you need? And part of the reason why I don't share that too specifically is just because people tend to misunderstand disabilities, and if you just give them a label, they're oh, well, if you're blind, you don't need accessible seating. I'm no, you do. So I don't tend to tell people what my disability is, just because I find that telling people generates more confusion or misconception than it does actual information.
Yeah.
So I tend to talk more about when I need to be accommodated than specifically what my disability is.
Yeah.
That said, again, if somebody is in line there, presumably it's because they need it and because there's no clear accessibility line.
And also, there's, honest to God, no, like, I don't know how you were supposed to know that one of those things was VIP and one of those was regular.
Yeah, maybe they said it before we came up because the people were sorting themselves, but it was still confusing.
Yeah.
And it was also like, there was no reason for this to have a VIP line. There's 30 people there. Everyone can get the seat that they want.
Yeah. Like,
it's a 500-person room.
Yeah. Like, you could fit hundreds in that ballroom easily.
And all that person had to do was just let that person in because they probably had an accessibility need and it wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah.
And that person got frustrated and left after that.
Yeah. Like, they decided not to go to that panel.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
And not the only time we saw that happen today.
So yeah, that's kind of the big thing. That is the big thing that we were alluding to earlier that this con does. It does not allow you to just go into rooms.
It clears rooms.
It clears rooms.
Those are two things that I think I've talked about before that get cons on my don't come back list fast.
You know, they like actively have like lines outside every panel room. They badge check in front of every panel.
Well, they have
room.
lines, but they don't even have places for the lines.
Yeah, like until they just let the line kind of start happening, and until it becomes a problem, they just kind of ignore it.
And then they set it up like there was technically a line for Anime Court last night.
Yeah.
But in backwards, which didn't make a difference because I think it was not popular a panel, but they let the people who were in the back of the line. It was just complete chaos.
Again, it was just badly set up and badly established. And again, just don't do it. Just let people go into goddamn panel rooms.
Well, it's also just one of those things where I understand this a little bit, but they're a type of con that has them checking badges at every single panel room, and I'm just like, I've been to a lot of conventions. I've not seen that many people ghost cons. No. And if they are ghosting cons to like go to dinosaur trivia, I really don't think that that's like gonna affect your bottom line that much.
No.
Like, sure, police the celebrity panels, police the autograph area, because that's, if somebody's gonna ghost con to like gain something, that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
But anyone who like legitimately wants to go to Anime Court and dinosaur trivia, we're gonna buy a badge. Yeah. Like, we have no reason not to.
Yeah. So yeah, and just generally their ADA stuff this weekend has been awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, really bad.
Yeah.
And if we have, I don't know if we'll have time this evening, but there is a specific incident that we do need to talk about.
We will, and I think we'll probably get to that tomorrow if we're going chronological.
Yeah.
But seeing that was heartbreaking, and it was like, oh yeah, that's why I don't like this con. They clear rooms, and I want to respect the individual volunteer staff. I think part of the problem is that you're putting a lot of pressure on them because you're basically parking somebody in front of a door for like 6 hours on end and asking them to manage massive amounts of people, and that's not easy on them. And that means they have to make decisions also that they haven't been trained to make because you have no accessibility policy. Yeah. And that's hard on them.
Yeah.
Like, those people are stressed out. I've seen them before.
Yeah.
They don't know how to manage the line correctly. They're given very little training on what to do when situations come up. And
yeah,
it's just not fair to expect that of your volunteers.
And it means when they do encounter somebody with a disability, they just have to wing it.
Yeah.
And what happens in that situation is going to depend entirely on who that volunteer is.
And it's still, the volunteers shouldn't be pressured to make those situations because they're trying to weigh up like a job that they were told to do against stuff that they think is compassionate and good to do, and they shouldn't have to make that decision.
Yeah.
It should just be in your policy.
Again, that should not be on them. It just shouldn't. So yeah, that's kind of why this con has just like it's added an additional stressful step to every single panel.
Yeah, as a person with a disability where I need to have certain seats in certain rooms and need to like feel safe getting in and out of rooms, like for every single panel, I'm nervous as to whether or not we're going to be able to attend it. And there's some panels I think today that we just didn't attend because there just wasn't an ability for us to.
Yeah.
There were seats, we just couldn't get in the way we needed to.
Yeah.
And again, these aren't panels that are like major celebrity events that are big draws. This is stuff like Pictionary. And you shouldn't have to be stressed about whether or not you get to play Pictionary at a con. It's just not something anyone should have to be stressed about.
Yeah. So yeah.
Like meeting a celebrity and having to wait in a long line, sure, I get it. Like the celebrity's one person, you can't really avoid that. But Pictionary is not like that.
Yeah. So yeah. With that said, once we got in, the Dread panel was good.
It was.
Yeah.
The voice actors had fun doing different voices for the characters. It was very silly. They took audience suggestions and just took them hands up for the first suggestion. It did what Dread does. It's weirdly tense as the tower bricks get higher and higher.
Yep.
And it was cute, it was fun, it was silly, and everyone did a great job with it.
Yep.
And the voice actors complimented my dress. Thanks. They made me show off in front of everyone. Slightly embarrassed, but in the fun way about it.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. I'm trying to remember why was there that slight delay at the start, but they just
I think they were having a microphone problem.
Yeah.
That was kind of consistent with that room and the times we were being in it. There was an AV person on staff who was doing the best job they possibly could.
Oh yeah.
And I think there was just a delay because one of the microphones wasn't on, so they were talking about people in the room while they were fixing the microphones.
Yeah. Which again, that's fair. Especially first panel of the day. There's going to be technical hiccups.
Stuff like that doesn't bother me much. Especially because microphones and speakers get angry with each other constantly in a way that's almost unavoidable.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious in its own way. Somebody should write that as the
That's one of those crack ship pairings, honestly.
Yeah, that's
enemies
real
to lovers,
enemies
baby.
Yeah.
The date everything people if they're listening to this somehow, it's our podcast is what you've decided to take away from this con.
Yeah.
Make your next thing about speakers and stuff like that.
Yeah, microphone and a speaker. Anyway.
That was a very cool panel. I liked it a lot. It didn't need to be in a room that big, but I get they just put it in a room that big because it was open at the time. There's nothing else that we're going to put in there. So that's fine.
And it was nominally a voice actor panel.
Yeah, so it made sense that they gave them a bigger room in case, for whatever reason, that was a main draw at that time period.
Yeah.
And they had some time at the end for just kind of questions of the voice actors, which was cool, I thought. If you were there just to see the voice actors, which we weren't, we were there to watch people play Dread.
Yep.
But I think most people, given that we're the only people who rose our hands when they asked who knew what Dread was, I think we were pretty much the only people in the room who were there to watch a game of Dread.
Yeah.
I think everyone else was there to see the voice actors.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
And again, as a thing for a small group of voice actors to do at a con, a Dread game is actually a pretty solid idea. Because it lets them be creative, be fun, be a bit silly. One of them created a character that was a 1-inch tall crystal unicorn.
And she had a great unicorn voice.
Yeah.
They were throwing Jenga blocks around the stage and doing some improv bits. It was very cute.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a good way to start the day. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Quite engaging.
Yeah. What did we do after that?
We went to the vendors hall. I think we can probably review that before we get home.
I think so.
Accessibility in the vendors hall, this was fine. So that's cool.
Yep.
We went in while it wasn't crowded. It's about as
generic as you get.
Yeah. Well, I should mention that I was commenting to you that this weekend is Dragon Con also, which is, if you don't know what Dragon Con is, I don't know how to explain it other than it's I think outside of San Diego Comic-Con, the biggest convention.
Yep. It based on what we've heard, it started in one hotel.
It's now every hotel in Atlanta.
Yeah. It started in one hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Then it got too big for that hotel, so they moved to a bigger hotel. It got too big for that hotel, so they started using both of the hotels. And it's been just expanding and expanding and expanding. It's bonkers.
There's not even a schedule for it. Somebody made a spreadsheet for it because the events aren't listed in one place. They're across multiple websites. And it has, and keep in mind, this isn't a board game con. There were a couple of board games on it, but it has 4,000 events total over the course of the weekend. And most of those are panels, not tabletop games.
Yeah.
It's insane. So a lot of vendors who can travel probably went to that con. But there were some small local vendors. Polymorph Games was there. People were promoting Origins a lot at this con for whatever reason.
Same venue.
Yeah, it's the same venue, although I imagine everyone knows what Origins is at this point.
I thought so, but yeah.
SakaiCon people were there. General groups advertising for different cons were there, and the rest of it was about as generic as you can get. No offense to anyone.
Again, it was the usual groups you'd expect to see at an anime convention. Yeah. I'm sure there are people who came away from that vendors hall very, very happy.
Yeah. We just go to a lot of conventions, so we see a lot of the same booths.
Yep.
So.
One of these days, I should probably get myself one of those Wild Bill's mugs so I can just have soda.
You're gonna have to go to the bathroom every 15 minutes.
Yeah. No. I have the Olsen genes.
We're not getting into this now. We don't need to know about your bladder. We are not a bladder review podcast.
This is very true. I'm grateful for that. I do not want to listen to that podcast.
That probably exists.
Yeah. Probably.
Probably has more views than we do, honestly.
Almost certainly. But, yeah. So, yeah. Again, well laid out. Basically fine. Probably has more space than it actually needs, but that means that you have like nice wide aisles between the stalls, which means you can actually maneuver around, even in a ball gown, which is good.
It's pretty decent setup. I think Artist Alley, or what I would call Artist Alley, is front because they're combined, kind of smaller booths, which is nice that they're in the front, so we will see them immediately when they go in.
Yeah.
Artist Alley, again, tends to be more smaller local artists, but there's a lot of bleed in between these two groups. Vendors Hall's in the middle, and at the back is celebrity autographs, which we did not go back to because we don't care.
No.
So
we walked past the area. There seemed to be lines for certain people. There wasn't anybody at this convention who, like, they did have Mary Elizabeth Gwynn.
I'm not going to know who anyone is. I've seen like one TV show in the past year.
Yeah, she was given a price in Rebels.
Well, I will say it'll be relevant later, probably
like
tomorrow when we record it. They did have a lot of the Date Everything people, which is a game you bought me that I still haven't played.
Yep.
But I want to play it even more, so that's cool.
Yep.
But I have to like learn how to play it and stuff like that. And I'm lame, and I play visual novels with guide because I don't like getting the bad endings. What?
I mean, that's fair. I've also done that. I very deliberately did it when I was playing Deus Machina Demon Bane on stream years ago.
Oh yeah, you should look up his old YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna get more and more embarrassing as you age.
That's fine. Like, again, it made me a better voice actor.
Do you want to talk about anything else before we get home?
I'm trying to think if there's anything specific we want to talk about at this point.
We did the photo shoot next, but we might want to review that tomorrow.
I mean, it's not going to take long.
Okay.
So yeah, we kind of wandered around for a little bit, and then you happened to notice on the schedule that there was a Greek mythology photo shoot.
Yeah, we normally don't do photo shoots, mostly because our costumes don't fit any of the photo shoot archetypes, and also we don't really like it either. Don't get me wrong, we will say yes anytime anyone asks to take our picture.
Yeah. But
we don't personally want pictures.
Yes, I think that's a fair assessment.
So we went to this, and it was just kind of weird.
Yeah, because again, we saw Greek mythology photo shoot, and we're like, oh, well, we're actually in our Hades and Persephone. Pure coincidence. Didn't mean to do that, but yeah, why not? We'll stick our heads in, see what it's like.
Yeah. It was, I probably should have put two and two together that Greek mythology was just people who were dressing up from Epic the Musical, which is really popular. I've not seen it. Gen Z thing, I guess.
Yep.
Which again would have been fine. There was an Arcane, I think, photo shoot across because they were
Persona 5.
Persona 5, one of the two. I'm aware they're nothing like each other. Leave me alone. But because they were across from each other, it was just interesting to kind of see the contrast between the two photo shoots. They were both just kind of in a room across the hall. And photo shoots typically have a photographer there to take photos, which is cool.
Yep.
We respect them because they're just showing up.
Oh yeah, again, the photographer was very nice to us. Basically, said, okay, stand where you want, do what you do. I'll take some pictures. Picture. A couple more.
Yeah. And to be fair, we were kind of late because we didn't realize it was going on until 7 minutes after it started.
Yep.
But yeah, so the Persona 5 group that was across from us had a clear sense of direction and stuff like that. Ours was more just kind of a group of friends who were taking photos with each other that didn't seem really intent on including us in that much.
Yeah, basically they suggested we take a couple of photos largely because they were busy sorting one of their costumes.
Mm-hmm. Which we thought was normal, but then they were like, okay, let's get a picture of all the gods, and they didn't ask
make any
to
effort
include
to
us at all, and didn't seem to want to. So at that point we just kind of left.
Yeah.
And nothing's on them, but I do think if you're hosting a photo shoot, you should try to include everyone who shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think we're too butthurt about it or anything. It's just
it was just a mildly awkward interaction.
Yeah.
Okay, we have made it home. We're going to pause the recording here. We're going to go in. We're going to pet our dog. We're going to go to bed.
Well, you'll go to bed. I'll be tackled by a dog for 3 hours while she whines for treats and makes that harumph whine she does.
It's a very cute noise. I mean, it is.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be back. Well, from your point of view, in like 3 or 4 seconds, and for us, it'll be tomorrow. Do we want to like record tomorrow on the way there tomorrow morning?
Do we want this to be 3 hours long?
I don't know. We'll think
We'll figure
about
that
it.
up.
So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back momentarily.
Bye.
And we are back.
We're back, and it is stupidly early.
Yep, we got up at like 10 to 7 this morning in order to get up, get dressed, and get on the road for a 9 a.m. panel.
Because we are stubborn.
Yeah.
Usually because it's fun last night, but I don't think that's the reason.
Yeah, no, it's mostly because we're stubborn. And,
Yeah.
like, again, it's also a lighter day at the con generally, just in terms of the amount that's on. Because I think things end up, about 4-ish today?
Yeah. I think closing ceremonies is around then.
Yeah. So our plan with recording a little bit this morning is to, just continue getting through yesterday's stuff. And, if we finish that before we get there, great. And if we don't, oh well. We have time. So we got up to the photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what we did after that.
I am pulling it up right now.
Yeah.
Went to the charity auction.
Yes. So the charity auction at this convention was held in their main ballroom, which is their main event space. It's the same space we were in earlier that day for the Dread game. Because we turned up to the charity auction after it started, we didn't have to faff around with lines to get in. I'm willing to bet the people who were there did.
There weren't that many people, because we were just there for the Dread game, and there weren't I think that many more people for the charity auction generally.
Yeah, it was probably like 30, 40 people.
Their charity, based on the website, is some cancer society, so again, that's perfectly fine.
Perfectly
Not
valid
criticizing the charity at all, but I will say that anime cons aren't like free cons where the charity is like a main element of their programming.
I would agree with that. Like with furry cons, they are aggressively promoting the charity. They are aggressively trying to do everything they can to raise money for the charity. A bunch of the panels will be raising money in some capacity. That's unusual at anime cons. I don't think we've ever seen that. So having a charity auction is absolutely fine. But it was very clearly not anybody's real focus, whereas, again, at FurCons, the charity auction is frequently one of the last things in the weekend, usually just before closing, and it's usually a big deal.
Here it was mostly just, I think, people mostly auctioning off stuff from vendors.
Yep.
We got a paddle just in case there was anything we wanted to buy on, and this was just basically your badge information attached to your paddle, so if you bought something, it would then be linked to your badge, so you couldn't, like, not pick it up or something like that.
Yeah.
A couple things that this I don't think sold just because they didn't make whatever they wanted to sell them for,
Yep.
which is a bit weird, but...
Yeah, there was something where they wanted to start the bidding at like $200, which I think might have been a games console of some sort with a bunch of stickers on it.
Yeah.
Which, again, I get why you want to make at least $200 selling that, but at the same time, like, not everybody can justify that kind of price, and starting lower to get the bidding rolling isn't a bad idea, but like, I get if you have a reserve price you need to hit. So yeah. And again, just the energy in this auction was lower than we're used to at charity auctions, which again, I think was at least a part when it
auctions
was.
are generally run by comedians, whereas these types of auctions are just run by con staff, so. I will say, I have no idea, and we've gone to Matsuricon for 3 years, anything about their staff, which is honestly rare for me.
Yeah.
Like, most cons we've been to at least 3 times, with the exception of, like, Gen Con, which is...
Well, I've only done Gen Con once.
Yeah. Well, like, I imagine even when we did Gen Con a bunch of times,
we're not going to get anywhere near knowing who the higher-ups are or any of that stuff.
We wouldn't see them or anything like that, but Gen Con is, like, 20 times the size of this con.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know who any of the people are. In fairness, we don't typically go to opening or closing ceremonies. We might today, but we probably won't. So
Probably won't.
We'll see, I guess.
Because again, like, because of when this one is, justifying taking a day off for it is very difficult.
Yeah.
So like getting out of work a couple of hours early to do our panel, that we could do. But we couldn't really make it to the whole programming day Friday.
How come every time we record this you yawn? Like, you don't even have a reason to yawn right now. It's 8 a.m.
Yeah, I know. And I did not get enough sleep last night.
Man, tough shit.
And I haven't had enough sleep for months.
Tough shit.
I love you.
Love you too.
Yeah, so again, perfectly fine charity auction. Like, they didn't wrap. The one thing I will say is, like,
they scheduled this for like an hour, or I think it was meant to go for like 3 hours. They finished in about like an hour and 20 minutes ish.
Hour and change, yeah. So that they gave it a lot more time than it ended up needing. Now I don't know if that was just there were fewer people in the audience than they were hoping for, or they got fewer donations than they were hoping for.
This is the thing with charity auctions, and furries do at least sometimes let you see, but if you don't know what's going to be at a charity auction to begin with, it's a little bit hard to know if like it's stuff you want to bid on, and it's obviously for charity. Like, some people just want to give money for charity, might just have a budget for how they do that, and charity auctions are a great way to do that, to give back.
Yep.
But it would be nice to see what items they had, because we went last year and their selection I think was even worse than this year, where they mostly just had various autographed things that no one cared about.
Yep.
This year I think they at least had a couple more interesting prize packages, and I thought they had more interesting pieces than they did last year. I wasn't as bored.
Yeah, there was a lot of combo stuff, like, here's a Spy Family combo thing where it's like,
it's a plush and a comic, and it's been signed by all the people from Spy Family, and like that works a lot better, because last year was pretty much exclusively posters that were signed by people.
Yep.
So that's nice that they've changed that up a little bit.
Yep. Again, I'm not going to say they weren't trying. It's just the energy in that room wasn't great.
And I try to be. Us as reviewers, I do think we need to try to be kind of fair. We go to a lot of similar events at different cons, so we typically see the best of how events can be run.
Yeah.
And it might be a little bit unfair to compare like furry auctions to just general con auctions, because they're just not going to be as good or have the same amount of energy.
Yeah. Again, as we said with furries, the charity is very much the focus of the event in a way that it just isn't at an anime con. And again, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's so many cops out today.
Yeah, it's weird for a Sunday morning.
So after this, we walked around a little bit. We checked out the board games hall briefly. We didn't play any games.
Nope.
And we did comment on the fact that previous year at Matsuri, and this I do think speaks to the fact they didn't improve programming this year, we spent 3 hours playing Uno, I think, one year.
Yep, that was our first year.
Yeah.
Just
played Uno for 3 hours.
Because there wasn't anything else to do. And we were at least having fun playing Uno with random people.
Yeah.
Because, of course, with Uno, you get into the classic debates of exactly which rule subset you use.
Yep.
Because, by the way, the people who make Uno play it wrong. Mm-hmm. They insist you can't, like, put a +4 on top of a +4 to make the next person in line draw +8.
Yeah.
That's the wrong way to play it.
Well, the way we used to play it is you didn't just draw one card you drew until you got a card you could play, which is vicious, but a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Because everyone, I think, has their own house rules with Uno, because it's one of those games.
Yep.
And yeah, I think that became also a meme, because like for a while everyone was trying to get like 5th place for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because again, we're just a group of people at a con, so that became a meme.
So yeah. But yeah, again, perfectly functional board game space, decent enough library, nothing too fancy, nothing too problematic. We also swung by the video game room. Mm-hmm. Again, pretty standard collection of...
yeah, we spent $30 on one of those gotcha games that we should not have, but
Yeah.
We have learned, as we go to round 1 a lot, which is like an arcade, but round 1 games are actually winnable. Con games are not actually winnable, so... Yep. But we had fun.
We did.
And it's relatively harmless, so...
Yeah.
Probably not going to do it again, though.
No, I don't see us doing it again, but,
So after... What? Go ahead.
I was going to say, we've been meaning to try one of those at one of these cons, so...
We did. Not for us. After that, we went to dinosaur trivia.
Yep.
As I was referencing, I think yesterday or like 5 minutes ago for you guys.
Yeah. So yeah, dinosaur trivia. This was trivia about dinosaurs, run by an extremely enthusiastic person who really loves dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. And this was a panel that we would have had a lot more fun in if the line to get in hadn't been a massive pain in the neck.
Yep.
And it just, it put us in a bad mood, I'm not going to lie.
As people were lining up outside the room when they the room was empty. People could have just gone in. I can't stand in normal lines, so I was like off to the side because I was just like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Thankfully, when the line started moving, the people like who were like next to where we were in line noticed that we had been standing there before they got there and just kind of let us into the line, which I did appreciate.
Yeah, thank you very much to those people. You are almost certainly not listening to this podcast, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we ended up like off to the side a little bit, just because again we needed a space that you could sit in, which did mean we were kind of far from the projector and couldn't see it very well.
And where the trivia questions were.
Yeah.
But, we were kind of. This event was bar style trivia, so they had goodie bags for everyone, which was super cute. Well, the first 50 people, which was, I think, most of the people who were there on time wound up getting one, and I think a lot of groups did share. We shared one goodie bag, and I think a lot of groups of 3 or 4 just shared one goodie bag.
Yeah, which again, that's fair. It means that everybody gets something, which I think was good. But yeah, so they basically said they had enough answer sheets for 20 teams. So they basically said they recommended team sizes of at least 4. So if you weren't in a group of 4, make friends.
Yep.
We're too socially awkward to do that.
We volunteered at one point when another group was looking for somebody to play with, but we initially decided we didn't kind of want to play. We just kind of watch or observe or do it kind of casually by ourselves.
Yeah, at least in part because in between those two things, I did actually grab food. So I was eating at the same time.
Yeah. But then when they were about to start, it looked like they had about 3 sheets left, so we just kind of grabbed one casually.
Yeah.
That said, we didn't know the answers to any of the questions, so...
Yeah, I think we knew, of the 18 questions, I think we knew about 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, which again, that's fine. But
this was very cute. I will say that, bar-style trivia at cons isn't my favorite type of trivia.
The main issue with it is just it takes a while to grade everybody's answers.
Because there's 20 teams and they pass them out, and they said the points wager system, which means that you're wagering numbers of points on questions you feel most confident on versus questions you feel less confident on every round, which if you played trivia before is an easy mechanic, but it probably is confusing to people who have not played bar trivia before.
Yes. Yeah, there was at least one person who didn't realize they had to do that.
Yeah. And this also, I think, suffers from the problem that a lot of trivia that's won by experts suffer from, which is just generally, as somebody who does a lot of trivia, because we go to trivia pretty much every week, good trivia, you want about a quarter to half the questions to be answerable by everyone in the room, just so it's fun for everyone.
Yeah.
And then you sprinkle in harder questions to make it a bit more hard for people who, or to separate the people who just know the base level knowledge stuff from the other people.
Yeah, that's usually the vibe we go for. Typically speaking, you want the score range to be nobody getting below 50%.
And then
half the room getting 75-ish, and then the top 10% getting above that. That's usually about what you're aiming for difficulty-wise. And I think this was slightly on the difficult end. And
if you've never written trivia before, it can be hard to know. And even if you have, obviously, especially with con trivia, you can't play test it or anything, so you don't know what people are going to answer and what they're not going to be able to answer.
Yeah.
So this person was really enthusiastic about dinosaurs,
and
that's one of the things that we love about cons is just how enthusiastic people are.
Yeah, this
person loved dinosaurs. And it was just kind of great to see that.
It was. Again, their vibe was really, really good.
Yeah.
I would like to see them do more dinosaur trivia at cons.
And I do think this was I sense this was one of the first times doing this panel. I think they'll be able to more and more work out the kinks the more they do it.
Yeah, I would say so.
And they were already incredibly prepared. I do want to emphasize that, with the goodie bags and with having the sheets for everyone. They did a good job managing the room. They did run up a little bit against time, which is more. I find this weird. This con has you can select down to the 15-minute level your time slot. So you have a 45-minute time slot, an hour time slot, an hour 15-minute time slot, an hour and a half time slot, an hour 45-minute time slot, and a 2-hour time slot you can select from, which is specific. And I would say overly so. Generally I consider 45 minutes to an hour to just be one time slot and just having that 15 minutes of flex time for a panel. But this con is not doing that this year, so.
But the thing is, they are placing 15-minute breaks in between the official end of each panel and the beginning of the next panel.
Which is good.
Time. I would rather have that so that like people can actually go to time without worrying about faffing on. But yeah, so they were under the impression they had an hour. They actually only had 45 minutes, so they did rush the last round quite a bit. And that's not necessarily on them.
Yeah, I had the same impression because I also think I put 45 minutes down for my ethics and Pokemon time slot because I knew there was about 30 minutes between me and the next panel. I figured like 15 minutes of that could be flex time where I was answering questions. Mm-hmm. They did ask us to, I think, kind of stop towards the end of that. But,
they basically came in and were like, you guys are at time, and we basically said, okay, fair enough. Like,
they weren't mean about it or anything, but it is something for which, like, generally at cons, if you have 45 minutes, it's real, or if you have an hour block, I treat that hour block as you have 45 minutes to do what you absolutely have to do, and then 15 minutes kind of flex time for maybe like Q&A or wrap up, or if you're running over time, let's get this stuff done time.
Yep, or even just the next guy is here. Is it okay if he starts setting up?
Yeah.
Fine. Again, depending on how the time blocks are organized, that's your wiggle room in your flex period.
Yep. But again, this was cute. It was fun. I liked it.
So yeah, at that point, we considered going into which panel was it we contemplated?
Anime Jeopardy.
Anime Jeopardy,
which we did get out early enough to attend. It did take us longer than normal to get out of that particular room, and I'm going to try to be as sensitive about this as possible. There was some type of medical emergency that was happening in the hallway.
Yeah.
That's not anyone's fault.
Nope.
It's not something I want to gossip about on this podcast. It's just, if you have 5,000 people at a con, somebody's probably going to have some type of medical emergency.
Yeah.
We saw reports from friends who did see the incident, because we were in a room we didn't, that the person did appear to be conscious, which is good.
That's always a good sign. So yeah,
and we hope that they're okay. It's not the fault of the con or the venue. Well, I assume it's not, unless there was some weird type of injury that happened. But I think it's more likely that that person probably just has a disability or condition, and for whatever reason, cons are stressful spaces. Whatever that disability or condition is, flared up there.
Yeah,
that's what I suspect likely happened.
Yeah,
and they were doing the right thing by keeping it out of the way so they could get them into the ambulance.
Yeah, they basically got people to stay clear so that the paramedics could get them through on a gurney. Fine. That's one of those things where, like, we were a bit confused as to what the delay was until I realized I could see the flashing lights. And I was like, oh, okay, that's probably something that's going on. And then again, once they were through, everything cleared fine.
Yes.
So, we don't begrudge anybody that. That was the right decision on the part of everybody involved. Good job.
And if we were a certain type of influencers and we wanted to name this worst con ever ambulance called, we could, but we're not going to do that.
We're not, because we don't suck. Mostly. I suck a bit, but
I don't even know if anyone can tell who I'm calling out with that. You know, though.
I know exactly who you're calling out with that. But again, we're not a drama podcast, so we're not calling them out by name.
So, and again, I just hope this person's okay. Not on the con, not on the venue, I suspect. So.
Yeah, so we meandered across the hallway to potentially go into Anime Jeopardy.
Which we were still early for. We were there about 5 minutes early, which is normally when they start letting people into panels. This is, I think, another thing that's the problem with having people line up outside. It varies wildly when you're actually going to be allowed into the room.
Yep.
Some will let you in like 15 minutes before. We saw some that were letting you in like 10 minutes after it was even supposed to start.
Yep.
Like, as somebody with a disability who can't stand in lines, I have no idea when I'm even supposed to show up.
Yep. The room was actively full.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were actively not letting anybody else into that room unless people left.
Mm-hmm.
So Anime Jeopardy was popular.
Yep. And we didn't really care all that much, because again, we're not massive anime fans, so.
We like game shows generally. That's one we would have just sat in the audience and watched rather than partake in. Because me trying to do Anime Jeopardy would have been real embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've done video game Jeopardy and done very well at it.
Yep.
But, so instead we pivoted and we ended up going to Matsuri Idol.
Matsuri Idol, which is a singing competition type thing.
So I think the first round was dance, and the finale round, which is the one we ended up seeing, was the singing round.
Are you sure it was dance? I thought they were both like singing, because they said they were going to do 2 songs.
Good question.
I don't know.
Apparently they didn't get enough entries this year, so everybody who did round 1 also did round 2. They didn't cut anybody just because they had enough time to do everybody, so they figured they'd do everybody. Which, fair enough, but yeah, here's the event that ticked us off.
Yeah. And this is, again, an event, because I will say, idol competitions generally, which are either singing or dancing competitions that focus specifically on idol groups at anime cons, don't seem to have the same audience pool that cosplay masquerades do, which I think is kind of sad, because a lot of idol groups aren't allowed to perform in cosplay masquerades anymore. They get their own separate event instead, so the masquerade isn't overrun with idol groups, which I do get, but part of the problem is getting people to attend both of these things, and I don't think how this was run helped with that at all.
No, I don't think it did either. Like, for one thing, between the prelims, the first round, and then the final, this had a, 6-hour time block, something like that?
Yeah, that's a lot of time commitment for people, and they got 10 entrants total.
Yeah.
Several of which couldn't even make the final time slot.
Yeah. And again, it was just, I don't know. But yeah, so we mostly went into this because we wanted to be an anime court after it, which was in the same room, and we'll talk about that process.
Yeah.
But we figured, this will be a chill place to relax, do some cheering, some wholesome, some enthusiastic people, and it'll be fun. So we went to go sit down.
Yep. And we did what we normally did, which is off to the side in the front row, which is easy access for me.
Yep. And we got told, no, you're not allowed to sit there, by the judges. When they told me that, I was like, oh, sorry, is this contestant seating okay? And then we realized, no, the judges had just blocked off 2 entire rows for themselves.
There were 3 judges.
Just the 3 of them.
To not be, I guess, distracted while judging the idol performances. And I want to point out a couple things about this room. One, in the Columbus Convention Center, because in some hotels they link chairs together, so it's hard to move individual chairs. That's not the case here. The chairs, you can just move individually. It's quite easy to do. You can move chairs wherever you want in that room.
There was also a table.
Yes, and there was a table that they took off the stage that they could have just put in front of the stage because there wasn't enough room to put it there, and just have their own desk, which I've seen set up at a bunch of masquerades and cons, where the judges just have their own table at the front of the room.
Yeah.
If they were concerned about enough space, they could also just have moved a line of chairs back and stacked them. They had the time to do that.
Yep. But no, they just took up 2 entire rows by themselves, which ticked me off a fair bit. But here's the thing. They probably did not realize that you have a disability. It's not a visible disability. I didn't, because I assumed they'd saved that space for contestants.
You didn't push it. And
I didn't push it.
This wasn't an event we really wanted to attend that much anyway, so we're just like, let's just sit 2 rows back. I was also having a disability flare-up at this point with my stomach stuff, so I was just kind of out of it generally.
Yeah.
So I was just like, fine, we'll sit a couple rows back and I'll readjust my costume because I was feeling not great at that point.
Yeah.
We were ticked, but I was also kind of sick. So.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, okay, annoying, but who cares? And then came the thing that really ticked me off.
Yep.
Which was when a person in a wheelchair wanted to be on the end of that row, and they told them no.
Yep. So they were just parked. If they were in the front of the room, that would have been a much safer place for them, because again, they can't take a seat if you're in a wheelchair. You have to be next to a row. So generally it makes sense to either have them in the very back or very front, so they're not blocking an aisle, which disabled people are aware of.
Yep.
And it's more comfortable for them, so we don't have to fight to get past them.
Yep. But no, they were told no and forced to move back. We would have let them go onto the edge of our row, but they chose to just move pretty far back. So they could be as out of the way as possible. And again, I'm sorry, that's just not acceptable.
That's not acceptable at all.
I am actively calling out the judges for this event. You made a very serious mistake there.
You do not need 2 rows to be empty for you to judge. You just don't.
Just move the table. Use that as a judge's table. It would have been fine. So yeah, that really soured us on this event quite badly, to the point where I actually spent about 10 minutes writing a complaint email to Matsuri about their ADA stuff generally and this event in specific.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, they have no ADA access basically at all.
Yep.
and it's with how you force people. Like, at some cons you don't really need it. I will admit, at smaller cons, at least for me, like Concoction, which I think is the first episode we reviewed, there were disabled people there and definitely issues that they dealt with, but like those issues weren't on a scale where you need like official policies so much, and half of them just have to do with the hotel sucking.
Yeah, mostly it was like the hotel ramp access wasn't great, things like that.
And that's like, as I think we pointed out in this podcast before, it's not like Anycon goes, oh wow, this is the perfect venue at the perfect price and it has the perfect date. I'm going to choose this lesser venue instead.
Yeah, like no con does that. Yeah. Every con is balancing, a dozen different things when they pick their venue.
Yeah.
And frequently, you always have to sacrifice something.
Mm-hmm. And it could be hard to think about like accessibility stuff when you're picking a venue. So I tend to be a little bit like kinder on cons with those particular points.
Yeah.
And at smaller cons, I will say, at least for my disabled stuff, I generally don't need access at all. And a lot of people can just be handled on a case-by-case basis there.
Yeah.
And this con actually is borderline small enough that it shouldn't be an issue with how much space they got. But they've made it a problem that they've actively made it less accessible than it would be if they just did nothing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of impressively bad.
So yeah, that really annoyed us.
Yeah.
I'm not actually expecting a response to my angry email.
It was pretty angry.
Yep.
Politely worded, but still angry. You didn't like curse them out or anything.
Oh yeah, but it did use words like disgrace and unacceptable, and so again, I'm British. I know how to write a strongly worded letter that doesn't involve any curse words. Like, it's an art form. But yeah, we were not fans of that.
The event itself was otherwise, I think, fine. It still doesn't really feel like an event where they're like, because they did have a like forum where you could like vote as an audience, and like there was an audience favorite award in addition to like the top 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I did think the people who won all did a really good job. Like, I liked all of them.
I don't think any of the performers did a bad job.
No, to be clear.
Especially since all but one of them singing in Japanese.
Yeah.
Which
I think was a requirement, but I really don't know.
Again, the fact that we were assuming it might have been a requirement, but then there was that last person who
sang in English.
But I'm going to be honest, I feel like they probably got docked points for that by the judges because they feel like the kind of people who would do that.
Yeah, at this point I was sick, and like there's also just elements of like how I talked a little bit about yesterday / earlier for you guys in this podcast about how like there are just elements of this that seem to be very focused on Asian culture in ways that kind of don't necessarily need to be for an anime convention, that I kind of was feeling a little bit during this.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not against the performers. They're doing a competition and following rules and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it is something for which I was just, this is making me a little bit uncomfortable. Like, everyone in this room is white for the most part. There were a couple people of color, but no one of Asian descent as far as I could tell. Again, you can't always tell what descent people are by looking at them. Most people don't seem to know what they're singing. This is just kind of making me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But again, this is an event we would normally attend anyway.
Yeah, we mostly just wanted to be in that room for Anime Court.
Yep. So we knew that we're going to...
Not Anime Court, Anime or Politician.
Anime or Politician. So after the event was over, they announced the winners and the audience favorite. Took them a little bit of time to do so.
Yeah, they had to rush out a little bit at the end just for time.
And the line for Anime or Politician was already forming outside. We had a really nice conversation with somebody who was talking about our costumes in like in-depth detail for a while.
Oh yeah,
they were really sweet.
Yeah, they were just like
somebody came up to us and asked us like not just what our characters were, but how we thought about our characters and what we liked about them.
And just like I got into a discussion about them about like depictions of Hades in various mythologies, and like the fact that up until Judeo-Christian stuff, like the concept of hell didn't really exist. Like the underworld is not actually depicted as necessarily being a like awful place of suffering.
Yeah, that person was so sweet.
They were. Like, they really enjoyed it. There was a guy slightly awkwardly hanging around us who was one of the the con staff who wanted to kick us out the room because, again, there was a line outside, and that was when I pulled the "you have a disability" card.
He was super sweet about that. He, like, I think deliberately did go to us last after everyone else was out of the room, which I think I don't know if he knew at that point stuff about the disability or anything in general, but like I think could at least sense there was something going on there.
Yeah.
So.
And again, like basically when I said you have a disability, he basically said, okay, fair enough.
Yep.
And left. That was all he had to do. And like the fact that he had to do that in the first place is on the con.
Yeah.
He handled that basically
Very well.
perfectly. Like, I have no complaints about the way he handled that. Yeah. So the people running the anime or politician panel recognized us.
Mm-hmm. Because we've gone to a lot of their events.
Yep. So Anime or Politician is exactly what it sounds like. It's a game show in which you are presented with a quote, and you have to identify whether it's a quote from an anime or if it's something a real human politician said.
Yep.
Round one is just American politicians versus anime theme music. Round two was any politician or political commentator against anything that's ever been said in any anime. And round three was any global politician, that does also include Americans, and anything that's ever been said in an anime. And some of them are super depressing. And they do tell you, so this particular, we've seen this type of panel done two ways. One of which is they call up volunteers from the audience and do it game show style, where you have just 3 or 4 participants at once, and they give them like a paddle that they hold up that has anime on one side and politician on the other. Nice and simple. This particular version was done as a Kahoot.
Yep.
And if you're not familiar with Kahoot, it's a website that's getting popular in schools, where it basically lets you do a multi-choice quiz. So in this case, it's 2 answers. And it scales up to, I think, potentially up to 400 people at once. So it does actually work quite well for cons, especially for an event like this, where there's always only going to be 2 answers. And speed in Kahoot matters. The faster you push the button, the more points you get. So they show you the question, then you can push the relevant button, and then they tell you what it is.
Yep.
Nice and simple, straightforward. There's I think there's points multipliers for streaks of correct answers.
That and how fast you answer the question gets you more points too, just in case there's a tie for who answers and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I like both versions of the way that they do this. We've seen both of them, and we have seen this presentation enough, obviously, since the panel recognizes that I can recognize certain quotes at this point.
Yeah.
But that said, we've done this, I think, like a half a dozen times at this point. I still can't remember whether or not they're anime or politician. And even after going today, I still can't remember. Other than the Mewtwo quote, which is always up there, is the only one I can ever remember.
Yeah.
And Herman McCain also said that one, so it's free points.
Yeah, that one you can say anime or politician, because as they said, technically this is a Mewtwo quote, but it got quoted by an actual politician, so 3 points.
Yep.
But again, that one's always hilarious. And they basically did 3 rounds. The top person from each round got to go to the winner's circle, and at the end they rock, paper, scissors. They all got a really cool blanket. The rock, paper, scissors was just to determine who got first pick, because there were 3 different patterns.
They were all very cute, though.
They were.
We didn't get anywhere to the top. There's 200 people in this room, so I'm not remotely surprised about that. And we were only playing on one phone because mine was out of battery, but I still had a blast.
You were down to 5%.
Yeah.
But again, this is a very fun panel, because for one thing, it's always really fun when there's a horrifying quote.
Yep.
And everybody in the room is like, oh God, please be anime, please be anime, please be anime. It's a politician.
Yeah, it's a very fun panel. You make fun with your friends all on it. It works great. The software they have for it is great. The quotes are fun. And it's pitched at almost exactly the right level.
Yeah.
No one ever gets 100% on these, because the quizzes are, I think, 30 questions each. I don't think for any of the rounds anyone gets all of them. They do a really good job of picking quotes that could conceivably be either anime or a politician.
Yep. And again, it's just it's a lot of fun. It's very, very, it's light and silly. And again, as they say, this is a PG panel. it
Although
may
they did-
include references to politicians you don't like,
Yeah.
policies you don't like, and the current mess that is the American political system, I believe.
Sometimes
is the way
global
it's phrased.
political system too.
This is true.
But it's fun to watch everyone like boo at politicians they don't like. We all know who they are.
Yeah, I got to apologize for Rishi Sunak.
Well, I did have
I
a
didn't
picture of
vote
Richie
for the guy,
Sunak
but-
in the rain, which is
What other picture do you use of that guy?
it's so good.
And again, for the record,
I love that he didn't have an umbrella over him for that press conference.
so awkward. Yeah, like again, for the record, I apologize for Rishi Sunak just because I'm British. I didn't vote for the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't actually voted for any of the last set of British prime ministers.
Well, the thing is, I don't even think you could have voted for him because you were in the States when that election was happening.
Yeah, I think I was. Technically, I could have requested an absentee ballot, but again,
I don't think I assume that absentee ballots in Britain, like in America, are kind of a mess and kind of hard to do.
yes. But again, I also live at I'm still registered to vote back in my home constituency, and it's so safe a seat that it does not matter who I vote for in any given election. It's always going to go to the Labour Party. It doesn't matter who I vote for, because that's how messed up the British political system is.
Yeah. So we're getting close to the venue now, so we should probably sign off.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. So we will continue with this after we've done day 3, 4,
technically, if you count Sunday.
kind of, sort of, ish.
So I have no clue how long we're staying today. Might stop to get con pizza with friends, which has become a tradition.
Yep. But again, we'll let you know what time it is when we pick up the recording again. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back with you momentarily.
Bye.
Bye. And we are back.
We're back.
So we are now done with Matsuricon. We are on our drive home. We stopped off to do a quick bit of shopping in Columbus, so it's about 6:30-ish.
Yep.
So you can hear some slight rattling in the background. Sorry about that. That's just stuff in the back of the car. But shouldn't be too bad.
Yep. So we'll pick up with what we did on
Saturday,
which was the You Can Date Everything. Now, you can romance everything now. The Date Everything experience. Date Everything is a visual novel type romance simulator that came out this year.
Yep, which I bought you a copy of and you haven't had a chance to play yet.
I've not. It does fall more into the comedy genre of romance simulators, of which there's a lot of comedy romance simulators at this particular point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But this one does have a full cast of voices, which is the broad appeal to me, just because I really like voice acting in visual novels, and this one has entirely English voice acting. I respect people who voice act in other language, absolutely. It's just, particularly in dating sims, for me to get attached to the characters, I need to be able to hear their voice and understand what they're saying. So I really love English voice acting. So
yeah, I've had this conversation in the past with people regarding, I mentioned my old YouTube channel earlier in this. One of the things I did do was fully voice act visual novels on that. And I remember somebody complaining that I turned the Japanese voices off in one particular game, and I was like, I mean, I'm reading out all the dialogue myself, and I don't speak Japanese. Hearing their voice acting does nothing for me. Again, some people will argue that that's heretical and you shouldn't do that. Some of the people at this anime con we were at would definitely argue that I should be burned at the stake for that. But
I mean, I feel like the subs versus dubs debate has been retired at this point. People have just determined you can enjoy anime or any other media in the way that's most accessible to you. Because both are good, and we can have both, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep, that's my attitude.
Because everyone deserves to have stuff in their own language, and if you like hearing stuff in other languages, great. And if you don't, that's fine.
Exactly. If you want to try and learn another language through their popular culture, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just don't do what my year 9 German teacher did and make you watch Happy Gilmore in German with English subtitles, because that's not a good choice.
So the panel was basically just them talking. We tend not to go to a lot of celebrity panels because there's a lot of voice actors who are in the industry. They've been working on this game for years, but it was nice to get a little bit of details behind the game. They had good stage chemistry. It was a lot of fun. I laughed a bunch. So this was a pretty well done, I think, Q&A panel. Yep.
And again, this was another one that was in the main ballroom, which while we were in there today, I idly did a count. I'm pretty sure that ballroom seats 1,000, give or take. I think this was the busiest thing that was in there that weekend.
Yeah.
And there was like 250 people in there.
Yeah.
It was not a busy room.
So after that, we did do. This is when we did the anime trivia, Dan's Idol thing that we talked about earlier. I'm sorry I keep messing up the chronological order, but it's fine.
It's fine.
And then we stayed in there for anime or politician.
Yes. Did we get on to talking about anime or politician? Yes, we did. We talked about that.
Okay. So after that, I think we did the Pokemon game show, or something to the back of the Pokemon game show.
Yep.
So we only caught half this panel, but it was a game show about Pokemon.
Yep. A lot of questions, moving very, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said it was their first time running this panel. Yeah. Showed in a couple of their decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Namely the fact that they had their contestants in seats at the front, which is absolutely fine. But they had microphones, the contestants didn't, which meant that most of the time the audience couldn't hear the answers that were being given.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been nice to have the contestants be given a microphone as well. And they got through 70-ish questions in the space of, I think, was it a 45-minute panel or was it a full hour?
Let me look back at it. Sorry, I moved on to the next thing because I'll admit I don't remember this one terribly well.
Yeah,
so.
Again, it was a perfectly fine trivia panel, but again, there was a lot of trivia panels at this convention, I did notice, because I do think in an effort to have more programming generally, they were accepting a lot more, but a lot of the time people will pitch the same kind of ideas, like a trivia panel or or an actually panel or something like that, or Jeopardy. So I think they did have a lot of similar panels this weekend, which has its pros and cons.
Pros and cons.
Yeah. Again, if you like going to those, which we do, that's great. There's more choices. If you're somebody who's running one of those panels, it does sometimes mean that people will go to one and then not bother going to another,
or you'll compare the two or something like that. Yeah. This again, I think was a fine first draft of a trivia panel. I think it could definitely be polished up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's one of the contestants didn't have microphones. I don't know if that's on anyone. It was hard to hear what they were saying. It was kind of confusing who even was a contestant because they should have been on the stage with the host. But other than that, I thought it was pitched pretty well. I could answer. I identify as a casual, I guess. Not that I begrudge casual fans, but I am very much a casual Pokemon fan. Which means I can answer some of the basic questions, particularly about the earlier generations, which everyone knows a little bit more of, or at least people our age definitely know a little bit more of.
Yeah, I played Red and I played Silver, and I have not played since.
And I think I know a little bit more than you about Pokemon.
You do.
Not enough that I would be able to identify Pokemon that were created in the past couple of years. So I thought this was pitched at about the right level.
Yeah.
Because I knew some of the questions, but I didn't know all of them. So
yeah.
And I do think questions were, for the most part, answerable. And it did have a moment that we also riff on a lot in it of just who's that Pokemon? It's Jigglypuff as seen from above.
Again,
that was one of the trivia questions.
It's the moment when a lot of children understand what a curse word is. They might not know any yet, but they understand why we have them.
Yep. So after that, we stayed in for actually Convention Edition, which it says Convention Edition. It really is just an anime and primarily anime-based actually trivia.
Yeah, there were a few video game questions as well, but it was mostly anime. And when we say video game, I mean mostly older video games. Which again, not bad. I did volunteer for this one. I'm glad I didn't get picked.
It was pretty anime focused.
Yep.
And I would say the questions on this one were probably a little bit too hard.
Some of them were. Some of them were fairly obvious. Some of them were a bit too hard.
The thing with them actually is because it's just you don't lose points for guessing. You can just find it with joke answers and stuff like that. So. Yeah. It was perfectly fine. I don't think it was the best version we've seen of this. Not the worst. The host, I think, it was, their first time presenting, and they were a little bit nervous, but I think this is something where they can only grow a little bit in what they're going to do. And I think they'll probably learn from this experience and do even better next time.
Yeah. That's pretty much my attitude. Ooh. Here we go.
Ooh, we are crossing the new bridge.
Yeah, so for the last 3 years or so, they've been building this new overpass in Columbus going from the 270 onto the 70. And this is our first time driving on it. It's opened within the last couple of weeks. And this is our first time actually being on like this particular bit, so yay, new overpass. It does seem to have smoothed out the traffic there. Again, we'll see what it looks like at rush hour. But,
Yeah. It does make the getting on and off is a little bit easier, and it's pretty fancy, so.
Yeah, you're not having to do that weird lane switch thing you used to.
Which bogs up that entire section, so it is pretty cool. I'm excited that we have it now.
Yep. But we are not the highway review podcast. That probably also exists.
Probably. Again, there's train nerds. There's not really as many car nerds, but there's definitely car nerds.
Oh, there's a lot of car nerds.
Yeah. Well, like, the car nerds are, like, trying to be cool. The train nerds don't care if they're cool.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So after this, we went to the... we tried to go to the 5-minute fanfic panel, and this was it was only 7. We were already pretty tired, though.
Yeah, we were strongly considering just tapping at this point.
Yeah, this was not the best con day for us, I'm going to be honest. Yeah. And especially...
We had been up for 12 hours at that point.
Yeah, and again, we did get here early.
Yeah.
And especially because we got there, like, we actually snuck out of the room like 2 minutes to 7, and there was not like a massive line, but a line out. And they hadn't let people into the room yet, and because this was a +18 panel, they were checking IDs at the door.
Yeah.
So
it took even longer to get everybody in.
I think it took about 15 minutes. We were like debating whether or not we even wanted to go, and then we were like, well, let's just pop our heads in.
Yeah. Eventually, they opened the doors.
Yep.
And so this was actually our first time in this room. This was also their workshop room. So rather than having standard seating, it was done with a bunch of round tables.
So yeah, typically workshop rooms are for anything that would require participants to have a table in front of them. Sometimes that's like a literal workshop, like building chainmail or whatever. I see that at a bunch of cons.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just something where we would need a sheet of paper for some reason.
Yep.
It does mean that it's a bigger room, but like space is seating's smaller, even though it's a bigger room.
Yeah. Like, I think that room's capacity probably ended up tapping out at like 50 to 75.
We got in the room late, and all of the chairs were taken, but there was a table up near the front, and there were just chairs stacked against the wall, so the host said we could just grab a couple chairs and
join that table, and the people at that table were like, yeah, please join us. Yeah.
And the people on that table were cool. Like, it is a good way to make friends at cons. The nice person who was sitting next to us, we had a lot of friendly conversations with, and we got to learn that the people across from us were, apparently one of their first cons was DashCon 2, which we were not at and won't review, with Strange Eons we listen to all the time. There's a great review of that if you want to check it out. That's way better than our podcast.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is nothing like the original Dash. It's a long story.
Yeah. This one was actually well organized.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, yeah, this panel was pretty simple. They took volunteers from the audience who came up in groups of 4. They were then each given a completely random set of 2 characters.
Which they built a wheel on. So, and they did.
Digital wheel rather than physical wheel.
And credit to them, or the people who organized this panel, they picked insanely popular characters that were funny.
Yep.
Pretty much all of them. And they let you, if you didn't know what a character was, you could respin the wheel to get a new character. So they had a wheel for setting.
Yep.
Also, so they had a bunch of like incredibly random, like eat cute tropey settings, everything from blind date to you find your dad in a gay bar.
Yep. Or my boss is secretly an anteater.
Yep.
So they had some, some classics, some weird ones. One bed.
Yep.
Was another one. And again, this was plus 18 panel, so.
And I will say, writing anything in 5 minutes is hard, and it was a very supportive, people cheered on who they wanted to move on, which also meant you could, there was one group who was manipulating the system to get their friends through, but who cares? None of the fan fictions were bad in the sense that,
Oh, yeah, they were all well written, especially given that they were written in 5 minutes.
And everyone was super supportive of that, because, again, with 5-minute fanfic, you just kind of have to go with your first idea, and any words that are coherent, you're just writing. So I've done it. I've done similar writing challenges. I do kind of wish we had gotten picked for this one, but I was feeling pretty tired, and I still had a lot of fun, even though we didn't get picked.
Yeah.
But I do know this is something, if I see it again at a con, I definitely want to volunteer to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, some of the pairings were hilarious, just based on the wheel of random chance. Probably the funniest pairing from the get-go was Sebastian from Black Butler and Sebastian from Stardew Valley. With the topic was Omegaverse.
Yep.
Which the person did have to Google. It was like, okay, I can work with that.
Yep. But I think it was just there was Mpreg in it. I did Mpreg, which Mpreg does exist. It gets way more complicated.
Yeah, Omegaverse is complicated. Go Google it if you're interested.
Like
Just,
submissive people can get pregnant, I
It's-
think is how it works.
let's not get into Omegaverse. It's long, it's complicated. I'll explain it to you later.
I know about as much about it as you do.
Probably.
Also, that poor person who did that dumbass wolf study a while ago about how there were alpha and beta wolves, which turned out to only be true in captivity when new groups of wolves were being introduced to each other. Like,
Also
you know, like
family
any...
groups.
Yep.
Like,
you know-
what he thought about alpha wolves were just parents.
Yep. But yeah, any animal establishes dominance over another animal it hasn't met before. That's normal.
So, yeah. Again, that poor scientist has spent years trying to, like, take down, trying to discredit his own previous work.
Mm-hmm.
But, idiots on the internet keep, trying to convince themselves that they're real alpha men, and it's like, oh, God, no, you're just an idiot. So, yeah. But yeah, so again, this panel was a lot of fun. It was very, very silly. We got to hear some creative combinations of people.
Yep. Again, I will admit, if this had been us, like, there's only one that was really kind of not safe for work, even though it was plus 18. We would have gone a little bit more not safe for work.
We would have gone more risque just
Yeah.
because we could, but
I'm not embarrassed to write that.
Nope. Well, yeah, what we should have done is you write it and I read it. We would have
Yep.
absolutely gangbusted.
Oh, I definitely,
that
if I had gotten picked, would have asked if it was okay if my husband read it. Part because, like, I have dyslexia, and in part just because you got the voice. So
Yeah, like, all you would have had to say is, yeah, so, do you mind if he reads it and he say something? Hi, everybody.
we did tell people how we met in that panel, which I'm not going to say on the podcast. So
No, you're not. We met on the internet. That's all the podcast needs to know.
Yep.
So,
yeah, and again, this was just like one of those perfect panels that's everything we love about cons. And it was really great, and it was a great note to end on. It's just we had to go through a lot of BS to get here, and with most cons, we don't ordinarily need to do that. Like at a furry con, half the panels are like this, and we can just like walk into the room. It's great.
Yep.
And we're not first. Like, I don't know. Like, at what point are we just furries? I really don't know.
not a clue. I mean, at this point, I think we might technically be members of the furry community.
Yeah, I think we might have just gotten drafted into it, which I think happens more often than people realize.
What happened to Boozy?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that guy wrote an article on what he thought was an interesting legal situation regarding furries.
Mm-hmm.
They asked him if, a convention asked him if he would be interested in presenting a panel about that.
Yeah, it was a special guest, and then people liked him, so...
So he just kind of kept coming back. And he's been going to them for years at this point, so yeah.
So that was the last thing we did on Saturday.
Yep. At that point, got on the road, went home.
Mm-hmm.
Got pounced on by a dog, went to bed, all of that jazz.
And then we wanted to get up early in the morning to play Pokemon Jeopardy again. This was a smart decision.
Yeah, it was definitely worth getting up at quarter to 7 for this. Okay, I kid. This actually was a very well-run panel.
Yeah.
With one major caveat. And this caveat is not on the host.
No, the host did a great job. I love this panel.
Yeah.
It started late.
Nearly
and not
15
because the
minutes
host was late. The host did feel the need to verify that because everyone was in line and the host was at the front of the line.
Yep.
Somebody's like, well, is the panelist just not showing up? And the person in the front line was like, no, I'm the panelist. I asked them to go unlock the door.
Like, she got there, 15, 20 minutes beforehand.
Yeah,
which
and
you're
she
supposed
confirmed
to
that
do.
she texted somebody and went and to go look for somebody. And
Yep.
really, at that point, that's all she can do.
Yeah, like, she went to ConOps, she, reached out to the convention, other ways, and yeah, it took over 15 minutes, for somebody to turn up and unlock that door. At which point we were able to go in, and the panel was able to start. But this con.
Yeah. And it says something that everyone in the room was pretty clearly making fun of the con. No one was like, no, let's be appreciative of the con and understand this was just one small mistake. Everyone was just like, yeah, no, you should the con should just give you extra time for this. It's their mess up.
Yep. Which again, they weren't able to do because obviously there was another panel in there afterwards. But she did manage to just get through it.
She did, which is good. It was a little bit rushed, but again, she had an hour time slot and she managed to just get through it. So,
yeah.
and this was standard Jeopardy. They had some obviously about Pokemon.
Yep.
They had a good screen for it for the most part. Like it was both themed and like this is a big problem for Jeopardy panels. The questions went away once they were asked, which helps a lot.
Which again, if you do a lot of Jeopardy panels at cons, you'll notice a lot of people just use PowerPoint.
Yep.
Which sort of works, but it doesn't have a way to like show the ones that have already been asked.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I think this was just PowerPoint again, but she'd actually like set it so that once you clicked on a button, it went away. You know, which was actually super useful because it meant you didn't have people like halfway through going, category 3 for 300. No, we've already asked that one. Okay, 400. Nope, we've done that too. 500. No, we haven't done that one yet. There you go. Like, because we've seen that happen a bunch, and it just kind of bogs everything down. Like you get irrationally annoyed about this one because you use a piece of Jeopardy software in your classroom that's really easy to get. Mm-hmm. You just Google it, and it's free online and easy.
Yeah, and you can download it too, so it does work that way as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that it is a bit hard if you don't have access to the internet, or shouldn't assume that you have access to an internet at cons, but I will also say the Columbus Convention Center does have Wi-Fi you can hook up to.
Yeah, it's not great,
but it does work.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is it's only in the convention center, it's not in the Hyatt, which is the annoying thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got picked to do one of these.
Yep.
So I went up for the first group, which was, I'm glad I got that one. It was a little bit more interesting to me than the other board and seemed a little bit more kind of silly fun.
Yep.
Because I think we got the option of doing either the
slightly quirkier one or the regular one.
I like the slightly quirkier one. There was like spelling Pokemon names on it. We avoided that category like the plague. There was what these Pokemon have in common as a category. It was really cute. And I was proud of myself. As a casual Pokemon fan, I tied for second. I was not expecting to get first in that at all. And I had a blast.
You did great. Oh, do you want to talk about costume today, by the way?
Oh yeah, I decided to do my Belle costume today that I had to emergency change out of due to our appointment.
Yeah, I can't remember if we mentioned this. We did have an appointment after the convention.
That. So we did that, but it was cute. I mostly picked it because it was warm, because it was still freezing today, which is not on the con. But yeah, it just no one was prepared for the end of August to be this cold. So especially in the mornings.
So yeah, fun times.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, this was super cute. Both rounds, second round went a little bit quicker because I think we're speed writing it a bit, and it was a bit more standard, but it was a lot of fun.
It was. Because the panel started late, she wasn't sure if she'd have enough time to do the second round as well, so she asked the audience, and the panel if they wanted to do the slightly weirder one or the regular one first. And we all opted for the slightly weirder one because obvious. But they did end up having time to do both.
They did. And also this panel, I will admit, there's kind of a lot of great tiny humans at it. And the back of this panel, the baby wasn't being disturbing, but anytime there was a moment of silence, the baby felt the need to give a cute noise to break the silence, and it was making everyone laugh.
It was very, very sweet. And again, this was another panel that had 20 people in the audience.
Yeah, and the people who were the parents were sitting at the back and not disturbing anyone.
And again, for the record, 9 a.m. on a Sunday is a lousy time slot. Everybody's knackered. Nobody's turning up on time.
So I really like this a lot.
Yep.
So after that, we tried to go to Anime Hangman.
Yep.
Which first we went to the wrong room. That was on me. There's two things at the Columbus Convention Center has multiple ballrooms, and it's easy to get them mixed up, and this con was using two of them.
Yeah, so we went to the Regency Ballroom.
This was Union Ballroom.
This was actually the Union Ballroom.
There's a third ballroom as well, the one that's up the stairs on the level
there is
between.
The Bell, whatchamacallit ballroom.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, so we went to the wrong room first, realized pretty quickly we were in the wrong room. We were like, whoops. Oh, well.
This says AMV Awards. We're not supposed to be here for this. Oh, well. So we quickly pivoted to there. We got there about 5-10 minutes late, and there was still a line outside, and we were confused. Because it wasn't a long line or anything. Anime Hangman, as you can imagine, it was done with a celebrity there. But it was not a popular event. Or I wouldn't expect it to be a popular event. The amount of people I would have expected to show up for it did.
Yeah.
Including two people who skipped out on the Pokemon panel early because they were tired of waiting in line.
Yeah. So they were stood in the back of this line. And then yeah, eventually at like 1:15, so 15 minutes after it was due to start, one of the people at the door just announced that they didn't have everything they needed to do the panel, so the panel was cancelled.
Yeah, I don't really know what the story is there. It doesn't seem like Hangman requires anything technically complex. I don't know if they were going to use a certain software or it just wasn't working or what.
Maybe the voice actor was suddenly unavailable.
I think the voice actor was the one who was outside saying this, so I'm not going to mention who this was because we don't know whose fault this was, and I don't want to blame a voice actor unfairly.
No.
So.
No, I thought that was just somebody. The person talking was just one of the volunteers. Like they just had one of the standard.
Yeah, but there was somebody in line who was handing out stuff to people in line and saying, "Visit my booth."
Okay, that might have been the voice actor.
Yes. I don't know if it was a voice actor, I don't know if it was somebody else, and I don't know whose fault this was, so we're not going to name this person, just because, again, I don't like naming people when we don't know who the blame actually falls on. Maybe the con said that something was going to be there and wasn't. Maybe there was some miscommunication. We don't really know.
Goodness knows. But yeah, so that panel got cancelled. So at that point, was that when we headed to the movement room?
Yeah, we've wanted to check out the movement room. The movement room of this con is kind of infamous for us.
Yeah, it's kind of pathetic. Mostly just today, it's room A110.
Mm-hmm.
And A110 is not a big room because it's one of the A pods, and the pods are specifically designed so they can open up to be as big as you need them to be. So like A110 through 114, that's a pretty big space. A110 on its own, not so big. So having that be the movement room is a very weird choice. Like I remember the first year we went, 2 years ago, we went to a ballroom dancing lesson that was before the formal ball.
Yeah.
And there was something like 40 or 50 people trying to crowd into this room trying to do like basic ballroom dancing.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
No, it did not.
And we were commenting last night that like Anthrocon had line problems.
Mm-hmm.
And this year they very clearly made an effort to fix those problems. All of the problems at Matsuricon that I saw this year, I saw last year and I saw the year before.
Yep.
I've not seen any effort on that part to fix
pretty much anything.
Like
they did have more programming this year.
More programming. That's the only thing I've noticed that they actually seem to have tried to fix.
Mm-hmm. And they did make some changes to the Masquerade, but the Masquerade is also the only thing we learned today is by looking at the schedule that apparently has a feedback panel where you can give them feedback. So, yeah.
It's specifically on the Masquerade. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll also get, so it's not at all uncommon for cosplay masquerades to have a feedback panel where you can go talk to the judges, usually on the Sunday after the Masquerade.
And generally they'll, give you tips and tricks for, what they're looking for or what they want to see. We've never gone to one, so
no.
And it's hard enough being judged once, much more likely multiple times. I think probably pop culture choreography might have gone to one once or twice, but we would have to ask her.
Yep.
So yeah, I just don't really know. We did send them some official feedback about ADA stuff yesterday, so we'll see if they take that into account at all, or if that just write us off as somebody who was disgruntled. But
yeah,
ADA access needs to change.
Yeah, badly.
So we went to the movement room, which was the exact same it was previous years, which is not really enough space for anyone who's not a small child to play in. And it, at the time we were there, largely seemed to be a place that small children were playing.
Yep.
We went to go see how they were doing red light, green light, which, to be clear, I didn't expect green light to be pretty much anything, so I'm pretty much fine with what it was.
Yep.
Which was, I think, one family playing with their kids across the room.
Yep.
And we did a couple rounds because we were bored.
Yep.
So.
And sometimes playing, silly children's games is fun.
Yep. And it was run as well as you can run, red light, green light.
In a room that size.
Yes.
The thing about red light, green light is you need a lengthy enough space that it takes a while to cross it.
Yeah.
This room, if I'd been sprinting full bore, I could have done in 3 seconds.
Well,
I deliberately was not sprinting full bore because I was playing against small children.
Yeah. That's part of it. I think part of it's also that's pretty much every room at this con has somebody stationed outside checking badges. And for a movement room in particular, it's just kind of awkward to go up and talk to that person about what's going into the room at the moment, because movement rooms in general are meant to be kind of a more freeform open space, so it's awkward to have a conversation with somebody to enter the room.
Yeah, Yeah, this con's really aggressively tracking numbers.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's for fire safety. I feel like it's really not, because most of the rooms haven't come close this weekend.
No, I'm assuming it's for like figuring out what panels are actually popular.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's for post-game statistics.
So we played like 2 rounds of that took like maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then left the kids to it.
Yep.
Which again was about the right.
Yeah, the host clearly understood. We're like, okay, we've gotten what we need to out of this experience.
Yeah.
This is going to evolve quickly because those kids aren't going to have attention spans longer for more than a couple rounds. And they weren't really understanding the rules. So it's kind of cute.
Yeah. Again, that little girl definitely should have been eliminated like 4 times, but the host didn't have the heart to do it. I don't blame them.
She kept saying I'm a princess too, which was adorable.
Yeah. Dear.
So after that, we went to the vendors hall for a little bit.
Yep.
Met up with some friends.
Bumped into some friends.
Got a little bit of lowdown on the masquerade since we couldn't make it last night.
Yep.
Apparently, it was crowded and they were shoving everyone into one section of the room despite other sections being open.
I'm going to be honest, when I heard that, my assumption was they wanted pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Like being able to take a picture of a very full section and leave out the fact that there was seating to either side as well that wasn't full. That's a classic trick to make your con seem busier than it is.
Yeah, it could have been something along those lines. I don't really know. It's a bit weird, and yeah, it just seemed. I'm kind of glad we didn't go.
Yeah, because that would not have been fun for us, and that would not have been good for your disability.
Yeah, well, there have been times when that's happened before. We've just taken a seat on an aisle that's vaguely open and kind of just hope they didn't make us move up or around.
Mm-hmm.
Which again just comes down to one person generally.
Yep.
So after we talked for them to a bit, we went to guess the epic song mythology panel, which was
not great.
I think it was the first panel of the con and a lot of cons that is when I am too old for this.
Yeah.
So I will admit,
I believe your phrase was, "This feels too much like every student presentation I've ever seen."
Pretty much. And yeah, I can't tell. I think this was a different group than the group that we tried to take the mythology photos with on Saturday. But
I think so, but I'm not sure.
Well, it is making me kind of not like people who like Epic the Musical, so because this is the second kind of weird interaction we've had with super fans of that. So,
yeah.
But they seem kind of weirdly exclusionatory and also not well organized.
Again, as you and I were discussing, one of the problems we've noticed with anime conventions and anime fans is they assume you're going to be a fan of the same specific sub-thing that they are, and if you're not already a fan of it, they don't want to make the effort to include you. It's like, you should have already been a fan of it, and the fact you're not is a failing on your part, rather than an opportunity for them to share a thing they love. As opposed to, again, steampunk cons, furry cons, they want to tell you about the cool stuff. Sci-fi fans are the same way. Now don't get me wrong, this panel reminded me of some Warhammer players I know, and that the players I don't like playing. Because they kind of suck to play against.
So we did admittedly arrive at this panel slightly late, although not ridiculously late, 3 minutes late. And apparently, we were immediately snapped at to go sit in the back because the teams had already been formed and we couldn't join them. Not politely, I want to add that, at all. Not even oh, I'm so sorry, the teams have already been formed. You guys cool, just watching. But pretty much snapping at us.
Yeah.
And the teams were teams of 8 to 10 people that weren't even in the first place.
Yeah. They were lined up in rows,
which is not good for talking. And
again, this was Jeopardy style trivia.
And
teams of 8 is bonkers for Jeopardy style trivia.
Yeah, and they weren't even teams of 8 either.
So yeah, generally I don't.
And then there was about 5 minutes of just them talking and being confused about who was doing what before it started.
I think we got as far as the first question, and we're like, okay, this panel's not for us.
The reason we went to is that went to it in the first place, and I'm like, oh, it's Epic the Musical Song Trivia. They'll probably play the songs. I kind of want to know what the songs are about, so I don't have to look them up later. That was the entire reason we went. I didn't really want to play since I know nothing about it. But the first like clip that we saw was like 2 notes from the song, and you were supposed to guess it from that. And I think like one person in the room knew the answer.
Yep.
They were on a team, but at the same time, it was just
Yeah. So yeah, we tapped out of this one.
Yep.
It just wasn't for us.
Yeah. And I do think this is something where if there was a little bit more practice with this, it would be a good idea. It's just, you and I both have talked about this. It's pretty easy for us when we enter a panel room to tell who has some type of performance experience and who doesn't have some type of performance experience relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And to be clear, I don't think that like not having performance experience should rule you out from running panels. It just means that it might take you a little bit more time to like think through the logistics of panel running.
Yeah. Whereas again, like, I have an education degree, you are a professor.
And we've both done performative creative projects on the side pretty constantly.
Yeah, so like, we know what some of the logistical problems are going to be. We know, like, you know, when you get up in front of a crowd, here are the things you need to be doing, etc., etc., etc. Which meant that, like, how long did it take you to create the PowerPoint for that panel?
I spent most of one day on it, at least.
You know, but, like, it's something that you prepped beforehand, you knew what you needed to do, and in terms of the actual like setup time once we got there, it was maybe 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, and I knew I was going to bring you into the panel as like a conversationalist. I knew that. When we've done like audience participation panels, we talk a lot beforehand about like, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do if no one speaks? How are we going to invite up teams? All of that is stuff that we talk very consistently about.
Yeah.
So
we plan ahead for. Whereas people who are doing this kind of stuff for the first time frequently just seem to think they can wing it.
You cannot wing it.
No.
Like,
well,
there's certain things you can wing. Like, I think we did that one panel, the Ultimate, like, Fandom Showdown or whatever it was one time, because it was at an awkward time slot. The only people who showed up was, like, a couple of friends and, like, 2 kids, one of whom did not understand what was going on.
Yep.
And it was not our best panel ever. We managed to pivot enough that people were engaged in it, so.
Yep.
And that stuff you need to be able to do.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas, again, I don't know. It wasn't the worst panel we've ever seen or anything like that. Like,
it was chaotic. They were kind of rude to us. I don't know. It's really not making me like Epic the Musical as a franchise now, so thanks for that, guys.
Yeah.
I've not seen it, and this is not a critique of, I guess, the person who has made it.
It does seem to be a criticism of its fan base.
Hey,
this might just be our old man yells at cloud moment.
Yeah. If it gets people interested in, like, actually majoring in classics again, I'm not going to complain.
Fair. See, the UK has too many people that major in classics. Because they go from Eton to a classics degree, to a politics degree, to government. But anyway.
So anyway, after that we went to go to cosplay chess, I think.
Yes. Just back in the movement room.
Yes.
Mostly because we were kind of curious to see how and even if it would work.
Yeah, because this event has been on before. I'm amazed it's even still on the schedule now. Because the first year we tried to go to it was just straight up canceled. Because they were complaining about the movement room existing and how it wasn't a good space for it, which it's not.
It's not.
Since have not moved it out of there. Or like put any more effort into actually running cosplay chess. Because that is an event that, if you do correctly, is amazing. It requires a lot of setup work.
Yeah. And it requires a lot of space.
Yeah.
Because again, like, we got there, they were, they didn't have that many people participating, so all the pawns were just, like, checkers.
We got there late. Again, we were just kind of running between panels to different stuff. We decided to go to just kind of review it. They were pretty, like, they were welcoming of us, though.
Oh, they were very welcoming. They said we were, absolutely welcome to join in if we wanted. You were in another giant hoopskirt ball gown.
The board was quite small, which was not their fault. The room had a size limitation. So.
Yep.
And I honestly would rather more watch anyway.
Yep.
So
I subbed in to play a rook that up until that point had just been a
sorry piece from the board game, from a giant version of it.
Yep.
One of the knight was just a cow light, so.
Yep.
But it seemed like they had anticipated the fact that there probably weren't going to
be enough people to play all the chess pieces, which I think he kind of had to in that game.
Yeah. Because again, just like, it's not a good room for it. Like, for God's sake, just give it an actual panel room.
Or just like this con actually does get a lot of signups for stuff. Have a sign-up sheet.
Yep.
Like pivot, obviously, because not if you have 32 people for that game, not all of them are going to show up. But like, you'll have some show up, and then you can just grab whoever's around. Honestly, if you just play that game in a hallway and sanction it off, you're probably going to get enough pieces just automatically.
Yep. Yeah, because cosplay chess can be a lot of fun. We've said this before. But again, like, it's not a big enough space for it. Like, I had fun with the small amount that we did. My commander wasn't paying sufficient attention, and the queen got taken by a pawn.
Yep.
That's real embarrassing.
Again, I saw that King was playing it up with you a little bit.
He was.
Yep, which is cute.
Again, the people in that room were having fun. It's just.
It's not a very comfortable space. I'll point it out that way. Like, it feels extremely cramped in there.
Like, by God, they were doing their best.
Yeah. Like, just open it up to the next room at least. It has a dividing line. I forget what was in the next room. I think it was just a photo shoot or something.
It was the buffalo.
Okay. Well, that needs space to do it. Like, also the photo shoot rooms were huge, and they didn't need to be.
Yep.
So yeah, they're just some space organization, and this is just another thing that, like, I can't tell if no one has given them this feedback or if they just don't care.
I think they just don't care.
Because I'm sure that like people who run the ballroom dances that I think are still in that room, probably did complain about it at one point.
Yeah, this con doesn't care. Like, as far as this con is concerned, they're taking along, they're making money, who cares? And that's the vibe I get from it. You know, like, a lot of the other cons we go to, you can feel the passion from everybody involved. I don't feel that with this con.
No.
This con feels like, I don't know, like nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun enough, but like it could be so much more. So yeah. And was it after that we went to Beyblades?
So we did briefly like stop by the board games room to play Forbidden Island. I'm mixing up the exact order of this because of the time periods, but we did. You got food. We people watched for a bit. We played Forbidden Island in the board game room, Forbidden Desert. Sorry, which we did rent from the board game library that was having problems with their computer system, but they just took your badge, which is normally what they do.
Yep.
They do have like assigned seating there where they like try to put you at certain tables. We just asked to be put at a table that we wanted, and they let us. So that's cool. And they don't like write it down or anything. I think they just look at the room and like direct people to where they think is an empty space.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary, guys. Just
like have a couple reserve tables in the back for the like official stuff you're doing, and then just let people walk where they want to go.
Yeah, if they basically said anywhere you want to go, just be aware that like those 3 tables at the back are going to be doing a card game tournament in an hour, so you can't. So I'd prefer if you didn't use that. So we would have said sure. So yeah. Again, perfectly fine, perfectly functional board game room. We've been in worse. We successfully escaped the desert once, and then we all got sunburned to death in the second round. So, if you've not played Forbidden Desert, it's a fun little game.
So after that, we went to Pokemon Bingo. Briefly. So, and this is one of those things where, like, because we can't line up because of my disability, our strategy has just kind of been to go to rooms when we think they're going to open. The problem is they are not consistent about what time people are let into rooms at all.
No, we were here for this one 5 minutes before it was due to start. They'd already opened it.
All of the bingo cards were gone.
Yeah.
It's just completely random.
Yeah.
Because, like, we were waiting 15 minutes after it started to get into the fanfic panel.
Yep. So we turned up to this one. This was Who's That Pokemon Bingo, where if you've ever seen an episode of Pokemon, you'll know that during the ad break they do the Who's That Pokemon?
It's Jigglypuff, is seen from above. So yeah, what was interesting about this is they didn't actually, like, I was expecting it to be like that, but then they also just reveal the answers as you're going along, so people who aren't as familiar with Pokemon can still play.
Yeah, but no, they were just showing the silhouettes.
Yep.
Which, for the first round where you were, like, ticking off pictures of Pokemon, it was basically fine.
You could probably intuit what they were.
Yeah.
But the second round, it was just names, though, and it felt kind of lame for people who like didn't know what all the Pokemon were.
Yeah, like I get that was a very deliberate piece of additional challenge, but like I would have just done it that like you do the who's that Pokemon? It's such and such. You know, it's Jigglypuff.
Yeah, or just like have the host say, "Who's that Pokemon?" and then hold it out to the audience so they can like scream "Meow" or something like that.
Yeah. You know, and then if you're somebody who knows who it is and can tick it off faster, that gives you an advantage on the calling bingo part.
Yeah.
But everybody who's got that on their card still gets to tick it off. You know, I think the rust's the only thing holding that card together.
Yeah, it's fine. This was like decently done. I don't think it was quite for us though.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a bingo card. We also got to. Again, Con had a lot of great tiny humans. There was another tiny human sitting next to us who was like obsessed with us.
Yeah, because this was another one in the workshop room, so it was another round table job.
And I kept looking at them and making funny faces, and they kept laughing, and it was cute.
It was cute. They kept staring at me for whatever reason.
Probably because your voice sounds different.
Yeah, that's probably a factor. So yeah, again, basically okay panel that we tapped out of partway through just because, again, if we got a bingo card and we're actually playing, we might have stayed longer, but...
Yeah. So then we went to the Beyblade tournament, which I do think started late, because we got there around, like, 1:45, and they were only on, like, I think the 5th match of the first round.
Yeah, they were still relatively early in round 1.
And this was super fun. So Beyblades are spinning top things that had a really, like, intense ad campaign back in the like late 90s, early aughts, and I think maybe still today.
Yeah, that was designed to appeal specifically to teenage boys by making them like.
It was not teenage boys. Teenage boys are too old to fall for. 8-year-olds, I think, are the correct age to like
middle school boys.
Yeah, around that age.
Yeah.
To somehow think that like spinning tops are cool. Like they have a slogan called "Let It Rip," which I'm sure is designed to be a double entendre that the kids are able to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was just a bunch of like, it was like also like that Crossfire game had the same cool stuff when it was just like shooting balls across the table.
Yep.
They really tried this like marketing to boys as boys stuff at that time. So what that means is for modern Beyblade tournaments, it's filled with adults who fully embrace the camp of this.
Yep.
Like they understand what they're doing is silly.
Yep.
And they try to look badass in like the way that like boys in middle school would think would be a really cool way to act, but very sillily. So,
yes.
And they had an AV team who was having an absolute blast with this.
Yeah, like they kept because obviously it's kind of hard to observe a Beyblades tournament because they're small spinning tops and a thing. They had a camera pointed directly down at it so you could see it, and it was projected up onto the screen. And they kept putting like lightning effects and like fire borders and stuff on the screen. Like it was great. Like they were clearly having fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this was very, very silly. It overran its time slot.
By quite a bit.
Yeah, like we had to leave at about 3:15.
Yeah.
It was supposed to end at 3. It was still going.
It was. I like this. Is totally fun though. I probably would have stayed in this. They did have an event after, and I heard some. Well, because you had to run to get me a change of clothes for the appointment because I couldn't go there in a giant ball gown.
Yes.
They were talking about like how they needed to be out of the right 3:20. They definitely weren't going to be. We didn't have time to stay late enough to see what the resolution of that was.
Yep.
But the thing that was supposed to come in after them was weirdly the masquerade feedback, which I've never seen done in a ballroom. Like generally, that's meant to be private, where you talk to each of the contestants individually. I don't know why that's in a ballroom.
Yeah, that's just kind of weird.
Yeah. I love this. The camaraderie in this room was great, which was great. A lot of people were having fun.
Yep.
There was a little girl who lost in the second round, and one of the other participants came up to her and complimented her rainbow top afterwards and things like that to make her feel better, and it just melted my heart. So
yeah. And again, I genuinely can't tell to what extent there's actual strategy in Beyblades and to what extent it's just
rock paper scissors, basically.
Yeah, or even just completely random.
Yeah. I know there are different types of Beyblades, some of which are stronger or weaker than each other, and I don't know how much I want to describe the details of the tournament, but you have to use 3 different spinning tops, and the players have to turn their backs to each other while they're selecting which goes first, second, and third.
Yep. They had
so you can't plan your matchup against who you're
things. And like some people, they had little boxes for them, and some people brought their own little boxes that they could carry theirs in. So,
Yeah.
And they had like a judge who I think was a generally good judge who like was understanding, and they were also understanding that like for a lot of people, they like I think do this and were interested in the tournament. There were a couple people who just were showing up or were friends of people who were borrowing Beyblades who didn't know how to like turn them on or spin them, and the judge was like helping them, like would let them reset if they didn't spin it correctly,
Yep.
which is great.
Again, I think the misfire is a standard rule,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And this one girl who was completely new managed to tie it up in this like very epic battle with.
So close.
It was so close.
Because every round was first to 4 points.
Yes.
And like the different ends of a match determined like how many points you
Yeah, but
got.
it's something to stop spinning. That's 1 point. If something gets out of the arena, then that's 2 points. And if something gets out of the box that the arena is in, that's 3 points.
Yeah.
And also if something breaks apart, I think that's 2 points because they're designed to smash apart. So.
Yeah. Because again, middle school boys find that really cool.
Yeah. So I think she managed to like tie it up and have this like thing, and then like both of their tops stopped spinning pretty much instantaneously.
It was so close.
Yeah, the judge had to make a ruling, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Very, very silly, very, very fun. Like a little bit more color commentary would have been fun, but like, as a panel to go to just to kind of chill out and relax and just watch something a bit silly for a while, I had fun.
I did hear somebody comment about how like quiet the crowd seemed, and I think that was a standard thing all weekend. This did have a lot of quieter crowds than a lot of cons did. I don't know if everyone was just like us because it was tired, because our friends were commenting that the weather change probably tired people out, or if it was just the level of like management or what.
Yeah. Again, the nonsense that like everybody was having to deal with in order to actually get to the places to have fun probably didn't help. But we don't know to what extent that's just us projecting a thing we really, really hate onto other people. So yeah. So we're about 10 minutes from home. So that was Matsuricon. Because at that point, I ran back to the car, got you a got you the backup dress that we keep in the car,
and then we went to our appointment.
Yep.
So stuff we didn't do. There's a formal ball that I actually do recommend if it's still being run by the same dance company. Because they have a dance company that runs it and also does ballroom dance lessons. They're a fantastic company, and they have like their dancers there to like help people ballroom dance who are too awkward or don't know how. So I've had a dance with one of their gentlemen before. And it was super, super nice. They talked to me, and it was super nice. And like as somebody who's done a tiny, tiny amount of Latin dance, and I do mean tiny. I really love like partner dance culture. It's a lot of fun to be a part of partner dance culture, and people in partner dance culture are super respectful and very understanding, because for them they just love partner dance, and all they want to do is be nice to their partners, so they continue to want to dance with them. It's awesome. So I'm going to see if I can find the name of the dance company. That was there. Obviously there was the cosplay masquerade that we can't review. There was a bunch of role-playing games, pretty standard stuff, voice actor panels.
Again, like, the thing that we commented on about this con was there wasn't like any one specific thing we were really eager to go to or desperate to go to. Like, there were things we like Anime Court and Anime versus Politician are always, a fun time. But, there wasn't anything screaming, this is the one event we really must go to.
Yeah, I think it's called Crystal Ballroom Dance.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But I'm guessing.
So, yeah. So, again, various other bits and bobs, but nothing that, like...
There was not an Artemis Bridge simulator, but there was a escape room that was sci-fi themed.
Yes, there was a sci-fi themed escape room. Which we didn't go in. We've done escape rooms once or twice before. They're not our thing.
Eat the Reich was happening. There was a speed drawing tournament. Yeah. It was really late at night. It was like 10 p.m. We weren't going to do it.
Yeah, that's fair. Eat the Reich. Eat the Reich.
This is not a song. You just made this up.
Man. Eat the Reich.
Lip sync battles, hentai guessing game, all that jazz. They did have a lot of late night stuff this year. More so than I think they normally do.
Yeah, they did. And some karaoke. Various other bits and bobs.
Idol dance competition, Mystery Idol, bunch of photo shoots, all that jazz. And again, as I mentioned before, we can't possibly name everything we did not do.
Yeah.
So, favorite con moments?
The baby in the Pokemon. Who's that Pokemon bingo room?
Mm-hmm.
That was adorable. Like really, really cute.
That's fair. I will also take a kid moment of the first day I was there was I was in a skunky dress. A little girl came by and she asked if I was a princess and said, "Hi, princess," and said she was a princess too. That was adorable.
It was. She was absolutely a princess. I had an absolute blast at Anime Politician.
Mm-hmm.
Like
We always do.
we do. Again, specifically the moment when a bunch of people who didn't know that Herman Cain quoted Mewtwo.
Yep.
And were like, oh, God.
I will take actually going out to dinner with our friends.
That's fair. I would.
Because, we've made those connections at other cons across the years, and, that's in the last year, realistically. But, that's great, and, I felt really welcomed, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. And
Are you having trouble? We did have fun at this con.
we did. That's the thing. It was a very mid-con. Like, there weren't that many high moments, if I'm brutally honest.
I mean, I can pick another one if you need a minute to think.
In all honesty, just seeing the fun people were having at the Beyblades tournament was actually just, it was nice. It was a good way to end the convention.
It was. And I will pick the fanfic panel. That was great. That was a unique event I hadn't seen before. It was done really well.
Yeah. Very fun, very silly. Everybody involved understood the assignment. You could have gone a little more not safe for work, but, again, fair.
Don't judge them for not being sluts.
It was a very fun panel. Everybody was having a good time.
For the record, I'm using the reclamatory version of sluts.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something on the lake? Stupid trees. It looked like a white bird.
Yes, I've also seen that on that lake before. It's not what you think it is.
What is it?
It's a water feature thing.
Damn them. We were kind of obsessed with swans, in case anyone hasn't noticed.
Yeah.
Anyway, what did we go back to this con? And as we mentioned, this is not a very scientific ranking system. It's very subjective based on us personally. That said, this is a con in Columbus, so we are saying something if we say we don't want to go back.
I think it's gonna come down to how tired we are at this time next year, because again, it's frequently the first weekend of the semester.
It also depends on what else is on, because Nightmare Weekend Cleveland, which is run by the GalaxyCon people, who I think add a new show every week for kicks for whatever reason.
Yep.
I don't think that would have been better than this, but we've done this a bunch of times, and it's not that great, so we might
try something else next year.
Yeah, if it's close enough, because we are very, very limited this particular weekend what we can do, because it's Labor Day weekend. Our school doesn't take off for Labor Day, long story.
Yep.
So, there's just not that much we can do this weekend.
I love the fact you say long stories if the answer isn't the administration's scared if they let the kids leave, they won't come back.
There are so many other ways to solve that problem, by the way.
Yep. Yeah, it does mean that I'm working tomorrow and so are you.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yep.
And then we have to leave on Thursday to go to Colossal Con East. That seemed like a great idea 3 months ago. It really doesn't now.
Yeah, why did you sign us up to do a panel again?
Mostly because I thought it would be an excuse that if I got to do a panel, we could do the improv contest again. And I didn't want to wait a year to do the improv contest again because it was so much fun. But now I don't kind of want to do the improv contest again because in that time of my life, I'm not on stage 6 hours a day. And now that school started, I am.
Yep. But we are doing the improv contest.
We are.
Yay!
We will probably not do as well this time, but that's okay. We're just there to have fun.
Yeah. Again, we're mostly there to annoy the hosts, let's be honest.
Well, that's why everyone's there.
Yep.
So that was Matsuricon. This was I think it was a bit of a struggle for us because we try to be con positive most of the time, but we also want to be honest with you guys. And
this is probably the most aggressively con we go to.
It's not disastrous, and I do think if you like anime, you will probably have a decent enough time. Or if you're somebody who doesn't need access, you probably will also have a decent enough time.
Again, it's mostly just with a couple of rare exceptions, all the panels we went to were really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the process of getting into them was a miserable pain in the neck.
And I have noticed that when there's like issues like this, it does affect people's like morale. Generally, if a con has a bad registration process, people kind of are grumpy about it for the rest of the day.
Yep.
Having to go through metal detectors makes people grumpy, and I think like this constant room monitoring also makes people kind of grumpy.
Yeah.
Not to say that we have some very positive and nice interactions this weekend.
Oh yeah. But again, like this definitely feels like a lower energy con, and I think a lot of that does just come down to people don't like queuing.
Yep.
Even the British don't actually like queuing.
That's a well-kept secret.
Yep. I'm revealing national secrets on this podcast. British people don't actually like queuing. We're very, very good at it. That doesn't mean we like it.
You know, somebody like cried happy tears at designing the pandemic queuing systems, though, right?
Oh yeah. They weren't just crying happy tears. They were doing other things that they should have been fired for. If you're not old enough to understand what that joke means, cool. Enjoy your youth.
I didn't appreciate the difference when I first traveled Europe between like the UK and France, where first I went to the UK to see the crown jewels, and they have like a moving sidewalk. That's the only way you can like witness them, and like you can't stop. You're just like shuffled by them and get to look at them as you're moving by them.
Sounds about right.
And then you go to the Louvre to look at the Mona Lisa, and you just have to shove your way up to the front. That's the only way to get there. You can stay there as long as you want. You just got to like battle people to get up there.
Yeah, you've got to fight people to get up there, and once you're up there, you've got to fight to maintain your spot.
Yep. And it looks fine. Anyway, we should probably wrap.
Yeah. So this con, it's in Columbus. It's in our favorite convention center, and I'm putting on the maybe we'll go back next year.
I don't know. Is that too mean a review?
No, like it's an honest review.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and honesty is the best policy in this regard. Like,
and again, it's like this every year, and I'm worried it's going to happen again next year, where I'm going to forget why we don't like this one as much as we do, and be like, oh, this one's in Columbus, and it's close, and it's like a very convenient one for this weekend where we can't do much else.
Yep.
And then we'll go back and be like, oh,
that's
now
why.
I remember why I don't like this one.
Yeah. This con, like, the thing is, the changes that we want them to make
are very easy, and actually would lead to their volunteers being able to do more interesting stuff than being door monitors.
Yeah.
Like, just let people go in and out of panel rooms. No one's going to ghost your con to go to, like, dinosaur trivia. And this is not me knocking dinosaur trivia. It was awesome. But, like, one, no one's going to do that. B, if they are, like...
Who cares?
Yeah. Like, you're still going to make back your ticket sales.
Yeah, easily.
Like, even us who, like, mostly do panels and don't really care that much about the celebrities or the vendors hall, like, we still buy tickets. We still do go to the vendors hall.
Yeah. So, yeah, again, Matsuricon, it's kind of here.
Yep.
Like, it's not awful. It's not, like, worst con ever, like, disaster drama nonsense. It's just kind of meh.
Yeah. Which, again, I know doesn't, like, draw as many clicks as, like, disaster reviews, nor should it. I still think you should have a good time, but, like...
And I'm sure a lot of people did have a good time this weekend.
But I haven't heard anyone say that it's their favorite con.
Yeah.
I just haven't heard anyone say that Missouri is their favorite con.
Yep.
And with most other cons, even if I don't particularly, like them,
there is somebody for whom it is their favorite.
Yeah. Like Con on the Cob, which we'll review probably in a couple weeks. It's a really weird con. It's a little bit almost too weird for us.
Yep.
But it's still some people's favorite because of how weird it is.
Yep.
Our Colossal Con, like, that's one's hit and miss for us so far. But we get why it's somebody's favorite con. They like partying in a water park. We don't like partying in a water park.
Yep. Again, they're just different, and that's okay sometimes. It's just, again, for whatever reason, this one just... I think it's mostly just the things it does wrong are the specific things that aggravate us.
Yeah.
And if, like, queuing up to get into panel rooms doesn't bother you, fine. You'll have fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it bugs us.
It does, especially when it just is not needed or necessary. I understand it for celebrity voice panels, sure, whatever, fine. But I don't go to those because I don't want to do that.
Yep.
So, or I'll do what I did with the Did Everything panel, where I'll just walk in once the room's already open and find a seat somewhere near the back.
Yep. So yeah, Matsuricon. It's okay.
It's aggressively fine.
Yeah.
So join us next week for Colossal Con East, and also possibly, I
No,
can't.
we're not doing it.
What if I really want to do it?
Then we'll do it because I'm a people pleaser, especially when it comes to you.
Yeah.
But like you had an insane idea that would see us doing 3 different events this next weekend. We're probably not doing that.
Probably.
Probably.
I can bat my eyes really well.
You can, especially with the eyelashes I helped you do.
And I'm terrified of the Airbnb we're staying in this time, so we might have to leave that one early.
We'll figure it out. So yeah, next week Colossal Con East, and after that we might actually slow down a bit.
Skunk Fest.
Skunk Fest.
Skunk Fest. Welcome to Skunk Fest.
Here's your skunk.
Skunk Fest is great, by the way.
Yeah.
That review will be shorter, but
we'll be very happy talking about it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If it doesn't rain, at least.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what the weather's doing. But anywho,
Skunk Fest used to be in a hotel.
It's not anymore. We don't know why, but we'll talk about that then.
Well, we can probably ask somebody there.
Probably. Right. We are very, very nearly home. So let's... the ducks are playing on the lake.
Aww. We're not good at outros.
We're really, really awful at outros. It's fine. Aw, hi, guys.
They're so cute. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Toodaloo all. See you next week.